Remix. 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 Remix.
What it do, niggas?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm alive.
Nice glasses. Look great. Okay, and we got no echo today. Wow, we're off to a good start.
I
Things
know.
are going well. Things are looking up.
They are in the
Um,
right direction.
Peace to the chat. Shout out to folks who listen. Shout out to folks who not in the chat though as well, because I do meet y'all out and about too. I just
Not
want
you
to
meeting
say.
people out and about.
I know we have some people who really like the Friday Remix crew, so I appreciate that. If you're
As
not in
they
the chat,
should.
but you listen and you support, we appreciate you too. Always happy um, that y'all can join us in this discourse. What you been up to this week, Amber? I got our check-in.
Yesterday was election day in Memphis, so well in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. How'd it go?
It went good. We won a lot of the primaries.
Anyone you know in particular?
Yeah, Justin J. Pearson.
Ah, that's right. I do know that brother. He won.
Yeah, actually, he
Okay.
mollywopped the fuck out this bitch, and it's exactly what she deserved.
Why'd she deserve it? What'd she do?
She was attacking him for no reason. She started going to events and stuff saying, "Do you want proven leadership or you just want performative speeches?" Um, and do you really want someone who's just performing every day and isn't even real? They just want to reenact a civil rights activist, or do you want someone who could pass a bill? So then yesterday I posted after she lost. I said, I guess the people did want someone who did performative speeches after all.
That's funny. The Bills thing, the moderates, the pragmatists have really been
Baby, they
uh
love that pass a bill line. And I
yeah.
said it's so crazy because she spent the whole campaign talking about all the bills she passed. None of her posts got traction. No one cared. To the point where one of her campaign staff started asking, "Do y'all just not even care that she passed these bills?" I said, "Yeah, we don't. Duh. I keep trying to tell your stupid ass that, but y'all didn't want to listen." Then I got drunk and was dancing on a stripper pole. It was great.
This was at the campaign. This is what I mean. This is the
We had a
scandal.
party. We had a party
This
bus.
it's the scandals they talk about in politics.
It was a party bus. There was no
Uh
candidates on the bus. Bobcat said he do be heavy on the King speech pattern. He just a pastor. You know, his daddy a
yeah,
pastor.
yeah. That's
He's a
just the
pastor. One of his other brothers is a pastor too. That's just how they. This the cadence of how they talk in the South. It's really just a Southern thing.
yeah, Southern pastor thing.
It's a Southern Baptist
Yeah,
pastor thing because
yeah.
a lot of them talk like that. I mean, even when you
This is
talk to
true.
Justin Pearson's dad, like I was talking to him last night, he just normally talks in that pastor pattern. I was like, "Yeah, I'm so excited." He said, "Yeah, yeah, grateful." And I was like, that's just how he talk. Like, that's just how pastors and them be talking. He said, yeah. I was like, that's just how they talk. It's really okay.
Oh man.
It's all right.
Peace
I mean,
to the
Justin,
chat.
like Justin don't always talk in that cadence, like when he's not giving a speech or something, because Justin and I are friends in real life. So like he talks like a Memphis nigga. That's how he sound. But like if he's giving a speech or like preaching or something, he gonna use a different cadence, which is
He's got
normal.
that Dr. King.
Yeah. But it was also the general election. Steven said, I'm working on my past impression. It was also the general election for the county races, and the Democrats swept once again. I don't know if folks know, but Memphis makes up 71% of Shelby County. And the Republicans here are like super, super racist, of course, but they've been convinced for years that they could flip the seats back Republican. They have been Republican for like 10, 12 plus years. So it's most likely not going to happen. But they keep trying, and they got mollywopped again. So once again, we have a Democrat, rural county. There was a lot of judges on the ballot, and some of my friends were running as judges. And so we had a lot more black women judges that won
Were
this
they
time.
uh lawyers or anything beforehand?
Yeah, one of them was actually a magistrate who did like bail hearings and stuff like that already. Her name was Shayla Purifoy. And she ran for judge and she won her seat. And I'm actually really excited because Shayla actually is fair. And that's really what you need in somebody who's setting bail and someone who's a judge. And she's empathetic. And that's really what you need in a judge. Because a lot of times people in Memphis just get in trouble for shit because they poor. And they just be so hard on them. And I'd be like, this is not nice. I don't like it. And then there's a girl named Jahari Dowdy, who ran for judge that won. And she has these beautiful long sister locks. But also she really about that life too. And I'm excited to see what she does. Because I actually go and sit in court. Because I don't know if y'all know court is public, but it's like up to the public. So I go sit in court watch all the time. And that's how we replace a few of the judges is like using stuff that they had did in court to like show people like no they're not for the people and they actually are giving y'all harsher punishments and stuff like that. So I was excited about it, but I was mostly excited about the primary and our Democratic nominee is a woman. It's the first time the Democrats have had a woman nominee for governor ever. Her name is Jerry Green. It's a city council member here in Memphis. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know that was the first time we had a woman governor nominee. I thought that we probably had one before, but that's probably why my voice sounds like this, though. I was yelling. I did drunk FaceTime two people. There was somebody else on the party bus when I did that. He did say game, recognized game. And I said, exactly. Exactly.
Sounds like y'all worked hard. So sounds
I
like the
worked
play
my
is worth
ass
it.
off, and I'm still thick. We was getting that baby over the finish line.
Good to hear. I'm sure we'll
But no,
have
he
some more
mollywopped her.
updates.
The final thing was 24,000 votes for Justin, and she had like 8,000.
Mm. Was she just a inferior candidate, or what do you think were the main things that drove Justin's victory?
I think the things that drove Justin's victory is that we have had a Congress member in District 9 who hasn't did shit or fought for black people in 15 plus years. London, unfortunately, ran and let people like create her, turn her into the establishment candidate, and that really ruined her as a person. She's a black woman, and she let them turn her into the establishment candidate. Like that's what they were calling her. And then the previous Congress member who did nothing endorsed her, but did not give her any money. Literally just did interviews with her for the news. Justin had almost $3 million. She had 51,000. She's trying to run a congressional campaign on a school board budget.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Crazy.
that's how Joe Biden did Kamala. But she definitely still has some corporate money behind her. But yeah, setting you up, giving you an endorsement and no backing. It's pretty rough.
Yeah. I
Um,
just feel like
but
she was being egotistical to run and she wanted to be a Congress member. Like she was being selfish. She said that this was the newly drawn district was now her Senate, mostly her Senate district because she's a senator. And she was like, I wanna do it. And I was like, just because you want to do something doesn't mean you should do it. And it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when she started going negative because Justin is just so beloved. Like the nigga ain't done nothing wrong. All he do is literally speak up and fight for us when y'all won't. Because she as an establishment damn works with the Republicans a lot. And I'm not saying you should work with the Republicans. I think you gotta do what you gotta do to get a bill passed. But she works with them a lot. And people don't like that. They're like, yeah, we feel like you're too cozy up to them, and she's not progressive. So
and she's establishment. It's in the name. So
yeah, she shouldn't have. I just told her she shouldn't have ran. She said that I lied on her because I said that. I said, I didn't lie on you. That's my opinion. You shouldn't have ran. And she was like, I have a right to run. I said, I didn't say you didn't. I just said it was the wrong
you
idea.
have a right to. Everyone has a right to waste their time. That's
And she acted like that. She acted a fucking fool the whole campaign. And now we finna clown this bitch for the next month.
well. Sounds like she made her own bed, so that's no surprise to me. Um, but good to hear. Good to hear there were some wins. Nice to see what comes next. We can maybe get into our check-in, and I wonder where people at today. Well, we got our co-host. Got to check in on
Yeah, we
where
gotta go
he's at.
find him. Kalanje asked, "Does Amber have thoughts on Cori Bush's race? Would love to hear her perspective." Yeah, my response is gonna be that she really just got outperformed. Like, I think we underestimate the power of like all those ads and stuff. I have friends in St. Louis who were getting 3 mailers for Wesley Bell a day, like not in a week. They were getting 3 mailers like back to back to back in their mail every other day. They spent so much money in their race, and she just couldn't beat the lies people were saying about her because she didn't have enough money to compete well. So they were saying stuff that was exaggerated or not true, but she really couldn't fight it. And I think we underestimate the power of ads and mailers. A lot of people aren't being reached out to by candidates, so they do depend heavily on like the mailers and stuff they get and the ads they see. And so if there's nothing combating that, and if the people that endorse you, because she had really big endorsements, but they didn't do a lot for her. DSA didn't do a lot for her. Some of the other big orgs didn't go down there and support her. It was like a lot of content creators and stuff like that. So
Sorry.
when she had all those national endorsements and stuff, but no work behind it, it wasn't helping her. So I just think it was really just them being inundated. People told me who lived there, they were like seeing he had flooded the airways. Well, not him. APAC really bought all the ads, but they flooded the airways where she couldn't even buy time because you can buy as much as you want. So they bought it all up. There was no time for her to even buy ad time.
That sounds like American politics. Pretty much. I have far less experience than you, but the limited races I did support or was a part of, it was pretty much that. It was, a bunch of consultants trying to bleed you dry at every single step. Oh, we can phone bank this many people for a price, like that kind of thing. I'm just like, this is a real pay to play system, honestly. So
I mean, it is.
unfortunate to
I
hear.
run a phone bank program, so I know that it definitely is a pay to play system. Like people who have money reach more voters.
Yep. Just straight up, even with bad ideas or lying, like you said, I think the being able to just spread misinformation from a larger platform, huge problem, huge issue in the capitalist system because it's just about who owns the means of production in terms of communication, who can telephone people, send out mailers, like you said, basically just getting people's ear and show face. And it's crazy how sometimes that's seen as showing face, right? Because it's not the same as door knocking or going to somebody's church or anything like that. But people will still be like, well, I didn't see this person at all. And really all you saw was a mailer or an ad even on TV, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
pretty
Hi,
rough.
Geechee.
What's up,
Morning,
y'all?
Geechee.
What's up? Who y'all talking about?
We're talking about Cori Bush in St. Louis. Someone asked my opinion on Cori Bush's race, and I was just telling them it really is the money thing. To be honest. Also, this guy Andy Ogles, who's a congress member here, lost his primary, and that was a huge thing because he and two other Republicans that got endorsed by Trump all lost.
Oh, nice.
And I feel like it's showing the tide turning that Trump endorsement is not helping you because people in Tennessee actually don't like him anymore because of like how much it's fucked up the economy. And like a lot of the polling is talking about affordability and infrastructure stuff that he's not helping with. And I think that they thinking they're gonna win because they got that Trump endorsement. He fucked around and lost bad. Like he actually got whooped. Like the dude had like 70, 80% on him.
Yeah. And it's funny because Tennessee's stereotypically red, right? That's
Well,
how people
yes,
think of that's
but
how people think about it. So
Tennessee is only 60% Republican, 40%
mm,
Democrat. That's almost 50-50.
it,
Who
it is.
who's y'all governor?
Right now, it's this guy named Bill Lee. Before you got on, Geechee, I was saying on the Democrat nominee side, because we did a primary for statewide races yesterday, Jerry Green, who's a city council member here in Memphis, and she's actually the most progressive. Like one of the only people who came out against the task force and the National Guard and stuff being here and sued to get them out. Her and this other city council member. She's the first woman Democratic nominee for governor. I didn't know we had never had a woman nominee before. But she won. She won from a huge margin against like 3 other people. And then our county elections, the general election was yesterday. So all the countywide races, folks who were Democratic nominees, pretty much all won. So once again, we have a Democrat-run county. We're gonna see how that goes though, because I think the new mayor candidate is gonna be very establishment, to be real. and I think he gonna run it like a business, and then people gonna be like, "Oh shit, we should have listened to y'all and not elected him." But
Let's run government like a business is definitely, again, my limited electoral politics experience. That's
he
on,
works
if I'm
at
not,
FedEx, like like the headquarters of FedEx, and he had a lot of corporate money come in.
I see.
And if you look at the map of Memphis and Shelby County, he ran for Shelby County mayor. He won like all the outskirts of the county, which is more conservative. And then my friend JB Smiley, who was running, he won like pretty much the whole entire city of Memphis. But all those outskirts of like the suburban areas, richer areas, the other guy won all of those. And I said, that's a sign that's telling you something. What was he telling them people in the suburbs?
Hmm. I'm trying to find, based on what you just said, there's a like the city government page, like which talks about, I think, the charter maybe for the city,
Hmm.
and it explicitly says, I think in Miami, like to run it like a business. I'm almost positive. I had this back when I did
Mm.
campaign research because I used to screenshot it and show people. I don't know where the link is right now, but yeah, so that entire idea of like this needs to run like a business is very,
It's very weird.
yeah, it is very strange and poisonous, like because it does run like a business. And that means people can make as much money as they want. People get rich off politics, which is wild, but that's its own business. So
Yeah,
I
but I
gotta
know
check.
because of that
So
race, it's gonna be a whole bunch of money flooding down here for Justin J. Pearson.
let's hope it gets to the right places.
I think they're gonna be able to flip the seat because the DCCC, which is the Democratic campaign for Congress seats for House seats, they put him as a target race, and they finna put some money into it. So I think that they might be able to beat old dude.
DG,
So
you about to say something?
no, I just maybe that's it. I wonder why, or not wonder why, but I was asking about the governor because like I'm in Baltimore um and then I mean I don't know if y'all saw the Killer Mike freestyle and Jared and then Wes Moore. But what I was telling y'all before, like before I left the country, I was living in Baltimore, so a lot of my work was in Baltimore. I did some contract work with some of my friends and comrades, and Wes Moore, his Robert Hood Foundation came in to start to argue around his mobility labs, and he was doing it in multiple cities. I don't know if he, I don't know where else Robin Hood Foundation did it, but Baltimore was one of the cities, and I was some of the people that I was working with was one of the people, and I was like trying to struggle against how to do the research, how to take in the data and tell the data in a way that when you send the funding out, the funding goes to the right people and not get caught up in corporate interests. But what's that guy named Wes, like everybody knew Wes was full of shit, and now uh, uh his pretty much he used that space to like gain credibility to get himself over the edge to win the governor. And then since then it's kind of like this nigga's in Atlanta on a podcast. Like the governor of Maryland, of the person who governs the state is is on a podcast in Atlanta.
He was doing a
While
whole
while
run.
while on the podcast taking all the credit for the crime the gun violence going down.
And
I
I
don't
don't
know.
appreciate that because the niggas in Baltimore have been working on that, and I have seen clips about that, and I was like, you know, you wrong for that shit, Wes.
So
Well,
so but what I guess what I'm saying is like and so I've been talking to some of my people I used to uh struggle with, and some of them have since then made it to like funded heights, right? Baltimore 360, CLEA, Community Law in Action. They're trying to decriminalize um, the dirt bike laws, but I don't know. I just had an interesting conversation last night, and sometimes I'm like, uh, I don't know. I think I'm encouraged, but I'm also discouraged because it's like these niggas playing in our face, and we still having the same conversations.
Well, politicians taking credit for the work of community organizers is common and ancient practice in the USA at this point.
And that's
But
why I don't
the
wait for motherfuckers to talk about the shit I do. I make my
Yeah,
own content. I make my own videos.
yeah,
I put out my
but
own posts because they'll steal your shit in a heartbeat.
what? So this is why I'm saying it though, because the advent of a DSA right now doesn't feel like politicians coming to take your shit. Like all the people I was talking to last night, the way in which they was talking about DSA, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I know it's the common thing, right? Just like politicians always steal the stuff from the grassroots. You can do it in Chicago, you can do it in DC, everywhere. But as for us, though, the people who's supposed to be on this left media argument swing, I don't know. Just sometimes it's a little confusing.
I got more to talk about with that the podcast, the Killer Coon, and all the things. So we'll get into it with some news. I'm very curious about uh this story, how it's unfolding. But
So,
before that,
I'm sorry.
mhm,
So
no.
this is kind of my point. Like, we got 93 people on the screen, and maybe go to 100 or whatever, and then statements like this: DSA is really just a facelift for the Democratic Party. Like, all of us kind of know what that means here, and probably like argue about it. But in the larger world, it's just like we ain't did enough organizing to even say anything about DSA right now in most of these cities, because that's the closest thing to the left them niggas got right now at this point in most
Yeah,
cities.
I literally said that. People trying to make it seem like I was being mean. I was like, I don't know why y'all are shocked when that's who's organizing here. I'll tell you right now, the national DSA didn't really do shit for Justin, but the regular DSA in Memphis, the Memphis DSA, had 50, 40 people out every weekend canvassing for the brother. Not Nashville, Chicago DSA came down from Chicago with 100 people and canvassed for him. The
Plus,
Democratic Party don't even endorse in primaries. They don't even endorse in primaries, so he wasn't doing shit for him.
so and this is what I'm saying. So I'm here having conversations with my students in the program, which are normally high school to mid to early college. And then my homeboys and homegirls and people we used to organize with, they've all kind of, what we realized, all of us had different ways in which they kind of split us up, and then they went into different places, like nonprofit executive directors and all this other stuff. But the conversation is consistent on the campus in Morehouse and West Atlanta and Baltimore, and then every other place. The conversation in New York right now, the conversation around DSA is like, I'm wondering. I've heard people read the moments, but I don't know that people are reading the moments with honesty and the quote unquote real left. We getting our ass kicked. Like, I mean, and I mean, it might feel good to be in small spaces and pop your political shit, but like in the real world, in every other city, we getting fucked up right now. Not
so
only by them, but like the people who can argue that they have material evidence of the shit they talking about versus the shit we talking about.
my only question is again, like when we define the left, who in DSA does and doesn't qualify? Because we had this discussion before. Like in the Democratic Party, there is no left. That you might have one or two still stray people who might qualify. I would doubt it. But most people understand that the graveyard of the left is in the Democratic Party. But I don't think that's the same for DSA.
Most
Uh,
people, most people on what we call the left understand that, but I'm talking about most
right.
people in the U.S.
Yeah,
That's not the
most people.
truth. That's not truth at that point.
Yeah, most people in the US are deeply confused, right? So they'll say that the Democrats are communists. People used to call Obama a communist. That's still a thing. So I get that. What I'm trying to say is Amber's pointing out like even the contradictions which exist in other large organizations as well, right? People could say that their local PSL chapter is different than someone else's, or that kind of thing. So Amber was discussing like DSA Chicago, or the DSA chapter locally versus the national, or New York, which kind of might be a rogue chapter based on how they can't really control their candidates, versus your own, small town local DSA somewhere in Ohio. And so I think that I'm just trying to think about all of the moving parts within a formation like DSA. As you're saying, if there's no anything, right, no kind of momentum built in your area, then you're going to go to the furthest left thing there. Even Ms. Kwame Ture says organize, join an organization. People's instinct is, well, I don't have a Communist Party. I don't have a Black Panther Party here. DSA is all I got.
So
I'm going to
yeah,
move in there with my own politics. Sorry.
yeah. No, I wonder if you think that, because I still remember, I remember leaving Baltimore and being out of the country for 4 years and coming back, and the tagline that I hear a lot in these spaces is "join an organization." Like that's just, now it didn't say like organize where you at, like organize your community, organize your job, labor, organize at your campus. It just said join an organization. So that means people are like literally doing that, and the organization uh has motion and rhetoric, but in actual anything measurable, anything, they, a lot of them don't have nothing. Like they're essentially posturing online. And
Sure.
so I feel like that phrase takes people away from organizing.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like it's I don't know. It's like a social groups and political education groups, maybe, and talks or whatever. But when you talk about an organization who's organizing, as Amber was just saying, like niggas is campus. Now, not saying that we know their politics and shit. And in fact, honestly, when I sat down with some of my folks last night, like, I mean, people are clear. They are clear on what's what. Now,
Mhm.
particularly here in Baltimore, the upside is people like LBS. They, in all them conversation, all of the people that I be talking to, they're connected to LBS, but somehow the groups, the black elite groups, the black progressive elite groups, they always speak negatively somewhat towards LBS, as if they're too radical and whatever. But like they actually getting shit done, and they're like they're able to like hold the line with the politics that all of us claim to have, and make that shit look real in the city.
Mhm.
Respected. And so it's like, again, I don't know. I think maybe I'm like unraveling my couple thoughts. Like, we having the students, we reading this, and right before we had the conversation, some of them was still kind of half and half between arts for art's sake and art as a political responsibility.
Mhm.
And none of them are saying that you could just make art for art's sake, but they are entertaining, like, well, everything doesn't have to be political, right? Which we all know is problematic. But as y'all know, the average person in your family, in your neighborhood, like whatever, they kind of like are carried away with this, and that's why Killer Mike can do the shit that he's doing, right? Because he can tell you he's he apolitical, he can get the money, but the whole time, and I love them two sisters that Jared posts on that video. I don't know if y'all seen Jared latest video when
Yeah,
they was,
I have it on the run sheet.
I don't, yeah, I don't know who them people is. I ain't never seen them in my life, but them two sisters are what's needed. And whoever the hell that damn dude is in that damn video, that nigga almost worse than Killer Mike, in my opinion. Like them
All
them the
right.
niggas, them the niggas that's worse than Killer Mike.
Let's
But go
w-
ahead, go ahead. I'm
we
sorry.
no, we can visit it. I had my takes as well on that. I'm not sure if Amber's seen it, so it'll be fun. And we can't air any Killer Mike because he's very litigious. So we can't stream anything directly. He'll get it yanked. real quick.
you mean his white owner is litigious.
Yeah, so which is what Jared too. So Jared at the start of his videos earlier this week, Renee Jared and Andy Ellis is running in Green Party, I want to say New Jersey, were all breaking down the Killer Mike, and I was about to say Wesley Bell because y'all got me confused, but Wes Moore interview. And now because YouTube yanked the stream for copyright, Jared, as a disclaimer, broke it into 5 parts and says that Killer Mike's business partner, a white man who is the owner of the Conversate podcast, made sure that we are not allowed to air that without his permission. So, just good to know who's in control of Killer Mike. No Black Bank, no Black podcast. Killer Mike had no black control of nothing. But before we move on, I feel like there are multiple conversations you're working through, Geechee. The one that stands out to me is still the DSA and how it's a large organization. Like it's very large. So there's a lot of moving parts. I think, like Amber said, the local versus national. How do you hold electeds accountable, right? Are they allowed to just basically become Democrats with a DSA sticker on, that kind of thing? Or are they actually beholden to a party? And so one of the things that's helping me navigate through it is this infographic that's been going around about like DSA um, structure. Not sure if y'all can see that, but this sort of thing, I think it's helpful to understanding like if you join DSA, for example, what are you going to be interacting with? What are the different tendencies that are present? Because within any party, there are different tendencies. There are rightist tendencies and left wing tendencies to navigate. And then, of course, everybody tries to position themselves as the center, which is what I find funny, or as the most pragmatic, quote unquote. So everyone to my left is some sort of crazy radical, and everyone to my right is some sort of reformist liberal, and I'm the pure center. So I always find those kinds of things funny. But there are ways based on strategies, based on ideology, that you can start to separate these people. So one of the things that I'm seeing here is relationship to the Democratic Party. And there are folks who think that you can work within it, that you can take a gradual entryism kind of approach where you win with the elections and small reforms and coalition, blah, blah, blah. And then you have people who have different ideas. So dirty breaking, where you run inside the Democratic primaries, but you're trying to build an independent party. And then there's folks who want a clean break. One critique I would offer this infographic is it's really funny that the right wing elements or the rightist elements are on the left side of the graphic, and then the left wing elements are on the right side. So they need to flip this. But as you can see here, there's more left wing elements within DSA that are caucuses and that try to organize the members toward an independent party, a clean break from the Democratic Party, Marxism or Marxism-Leninism, whatever flavor of Marxism you're dealing with. And what you'll notice here is like even on these right-wing ones, Marxism isn't even listed, right? Which is why folks like Mamdani or AOC would definitely not call themselves Marxist. So
Yeah.
we even get to, see that. But this is the kind of thing I try to think through when I'm talking about DSA, like as a broad organization, and the different moving parts within it. But yeah.
So real and Amber, you can go. So even the conversation around left and right, like again, last night, I can say left to my niggas, but then I'm gonna have to explain what the fuck left is, because that like them niggas is, you know what I mean? Like even to the point where, so I was asking them like, yeah, I understand that y'all, because I've been seeing them, like I'm always keeping in contact with every place that I've lived and the people that I've built relationship with. I've been always either keeping contact with them, reading up and whatever. So I'm knowing what's going on even when I'm not in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But so the dirt bike thing is they're trying to decriminalize the dirt bike situation and then have a space where the people can, entertain and go on the dirt bike. And then even my folks were saying like, well, I saw a bunch of interviews where the people on the dirt bike said they wouldn't even go to the park. And so I started asking the people who organized, and like, yo, like, so what's gonna happen? And they was like, well, when we do the park, I said, who's gonna own that park? They was like the city. And how does the profits made from the city, like where's that gonna get spent? It's like, I don't know. I was like, okay. But so who's against the policies that y'all want? And they was like, well, the police. And I was like, well, no, the police work for the people that who's against it. This area, who owns this area right here? And then they start talking about the restaurants or the buildings. I'm like, oh, now I don't know. Like there's like a, and so sometimes the funders like T. Rowe Price and all the other people and Bashadi, the one who had a big ass yacht, the yacht that could eat everybody else yacht out on harbor. Like I was asking them, like, do you begin to see what type of policies these people like? Because at the end of the day, the same niggas that Killer Mike telling you when he said, you know, I can get you in, I can one call to the Blue Fame or the Hawks game. Like Tony Wrestler is the Bashadi of Atlanta. You know what I mean? These are the big time people who, if you're not watching what policies they're advocating for, you're gonna fuck around getting grant funded by their foundation. So they're funding you while also being in opposition to you. And like you're not gonna know that if you don't know those players. And so a lot of times, I guess at the ground, I don't even think people even begin to think about those players, and they're still being, I don't know, they're still being influenced by the rhetoric of art for art's sakes. Like I argue that what Brandon and Wes is being able to do in imposter around black people is because most black people run with the notion of art for art's sakes, and they're only focused with that person's character, their personality. So when Wes go on 20v1 and say Fred Hampton is a really big deal, Fred Hampton. So now you got this nigga on record for the average goof. I don't say not goof, the average black person to say, well, he talking about Fred Hampton. He talking about the same shit y'all talking about. You know what I mean? So like it's all like.
Well, he didn't say nothing deep
at all.
Really big deal.
All right, seems like Ichi wants us to get onto this story, so we're gonna just hop in.
I'm sorry. This is my
it's
last.
all good.
This is my last point. I'm like really pissed off because you remember I told you, like I'm on a board of a neighborhood who's trying to build power and not be gentrified. And Killer Mike is working with an Asian man who's looking for prime real estate to sell in Atlanta so that he can do the rent-to-own. So it's very possible that the people that I've been building relationships for 2 years, including the old folks who died in Harrington Station, like he could do some shit that's going to impact them. Right? On the outside, that's Killer Mike. Wes Moore, again, I worked with his organization when he was doing his little campaign run. And there's some elders that I know who, you know, I met with them yesterday, and some of them on their last leg. And the mobility labs that Wes was doing in the 9 cities, all them shit failed. None of them did what the fuck he said he was going to do. And the elders are clear that he used them to get where he's at. The young folks are still, you got to play the politics. So maybe I'm just like really annoyed. So I'm sorry if I sound really annoyed.
It's all good. We could just jump in the news. It's already 8:40. Amber, you cool with that? You want to get into this story? I know you haven't seen the fun we're about to talk about. The Killer Mike. All right, y'all, let's get into some news. Peace. Morning, everybody. Welcome, Friday Remix crew. Amber, Lorik, and Geechee. About to get into some stories. One that we already started covering a little bit, and that is this beef that has emerged between Killer Mike and some of our familiar folks. Oh, I can't cover it. What do you mean?
Don't call it beef, man. Don't, cause I'm telling you, This is why, like I'm telling you, I know we on the internet, and I know we doing hot takes, but these niggas is like they like these niggas are in the cities and the people in the family that like now it's personal now. It's not like it's personal. Like this like when he went to go on Breakfast Club, he went to talk shit with the dude who I grew up with, who me and him had conversations about Jared already and the work and so like it's personal now. Like it's personal and not only personal, but it had material consequences that so
I think we've been confused. The internet's thrown us off. Beef has always been personal.
yeah
That's how I was taught. I thought beef was you about to die about it. But you know, I'm sure
yeah
that the internet has changed.
yeah.
Me, a hot take artist, Nishi. Me, come
Listen,
on, brother.
listen. Somebody, and I know they probably watch it, but somebody said that they wanted to join us, the internet talking heads, right? And and
Internet talking head, Everett. That's what you at. You know, you ain't out here doing nothing in the community. You just on the internet talking, girl.
That's fine. I don't give a fuck.
All right, I don't know if we're gonna get full. First of all, I just want to say
Can we
something.
just thank the people for watching, Lorik?
I
I'm
think
sorry.
that's it. What's up, everybody? Thank
Hey,
you. How you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm sorry.
Thanks for watching. Please send us money. You can say it's just for me because I haven't really said nothing this morning after Geechee went on his tangent about Killer Mike. So, please send me money because I have to deal with them every day.
Wait, what? Why is it? Nene leaks.
I have to deal with them not responding to our group chat messages when I'm in distress. It's so much happening behind the scenes that y'all don't even know about. Like they be talking about NDSA. It's so much happening behind the scenes.
Amber, put your last received resources from Cash App and Venmo. Let me see if Killer Mike send you some money.
He's so funny. Nah, it's just niggas. Not you
First of
muted
all,
me.
thank you. The last sip. Big ups, Lord. Yeah, shout out Black Men Build New York City. It was a great time. Love being there. Love the folks. Glad there's a hub that y'all operate out of. So if y'all are in Brooklyn, check out Black Men Build New York City and what they got going on. All right. So, I mean, first of all, I just had to say, I remember when y'all were backing up the boy, Domani? Y'all were like, oh, he's nice with it. He's coming after 50 Cent.
No,
I
no,
was
no,
like,
he
all
sounds like J.
right.
Cole. He sounds like J. Cole's was
I
what
was
was
like,
said.
all
Nobody
Yeah,
was
we
bigging
right.
him
did
up.
say that. He sounds like a younger
He
J.
sounds
Cole.
like J. Cole. He
Oh,
was not being
that's
bigged
not
up.
good. That's not good to me. I think J. Cole's wax. You talking to the wrong one. Think that boy whack. I don't like I said, I can't do conscious hip hop because I can't listen to niggas that know less than me. Try and talk on the track. Um because they tend to spread misinformation. I have a whole history of this from Nas I Can, just way early. I was in elementary school, I was legit. We had to listen to Nas and everyone was like, oh, this is hip hop, this is conscious, yeah. And I was just like, you saying a lot of hotep shit in here. Before I even knew the words, I was like, where's the research here? Where's the so I gotta think about conscious niggas that be half conscious because they don't like to put in the study. But I know y'all have that legacy with folks like Dead Prez who really do this and represent that legacy well. So I don't want to put it on all the conscious hip hoppers, but most of them don't study. Most of them don't organize. So no theory, no praxis, just yap. That's how I feel. So I had a feeling, like I said, Damani is T.I.'s son. And I said, T.I. got a weird case. So ooh, I just thought that would lead to some problems down the line. And here we are. So this is T.I., Killer Mike Damani, and they are sponsored. This isn't just a freestyle. This style not free. So Red Bull is sponsoring these kinds of things. I don't know if we're gonna get hit with the the YouTube copyright hammer, so I'm gonna try it at
No, don't put
1.25.
don't play it. Don't play it.
I
Because
got to. I got
they
to.
got the
Yeah,
they
people
got
gotta know.
they got the link with the lyrics written out. So
They got all right. Where's that at?
hold on,
Otherwise,
let
I
me
feel
let
like
me.
this is fair use. I'm gonna put it on 1.25. We
Okay,
only
all right.
if we get strict one time, we'll come back. Chat, let us know. We won't keep going like Jared and them tried to do. We'll just stop. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try 1.25 times speed so you can hear this old man's flow and not fall asleep. And let's see what he got. All right, this is Grammy Award winning rapper Killer Mike.
What rap too good? This for the A, man. Let me tell y'all about mine. Go. One phone call, I can get you in the flame of the office of the mayor. In talks with the owner of the Hawks and the president, the head coach, bitch, I'm a player. Got a badass wife, got a stupid ass body, she's smart enough to play dumb. Got a bad bitch with a little light skin, hit her ice cold like Trae Young. You ain't seen nothing like me, I'm something more like a G. Look at me, guy, sitting here crookedly high, sit on the board of the high. That's a museum, you peon. Shit, they treat me like I'm Dion. Look at the Wolf of P Street, look at the new Dominique. You think Atlanta, look what the future gon' be. The future is me, man, I'ma keep it a buck. I'ma keep getting with this fuck. I give a damn or fuck, about your opinion or up. Me and my partner from Bankhead, we winning about Bankhead, he food and we open
Cut
that
this
bitch
shit
right
off.
up. Fuck is you done? Side that your dick suckers growing about us cause we rich and famous. Top of the back of the list, move like a capitalist.
Cut it off. Play the money part.
A rapper's word get heard and it help the new policy understand.
I don't want to hear none of it.
Reader of books and the leader of crooks. I am the Negro Magneto. We are the villains, no chillin', we living until life is over. Finito, finito, whoa, finito, whoa. Die in the garden like Vito.
All right, so first thing, I'm mad because it sounds hard when I put the speed up. Don't if it's when it actually sounds better. It sounds better set up. I'm
So
kind of
so
tight.
so listen, bro. Listen, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all. Yup. If you like his raps, then maybe you don't read that well either. So let's just say that. As Omega says, the Wolf of Peach Street, he's a fucking goofy. He's a goofy. The Wolf of Peach Street, that's the goofiest shit ever. Leaders of crooks. No, you are a pet of a crook. Tony Wrestler treats you like his pet. You and T.I. and John Hope Bryant, and when they roll Andy out there with the wheelchair, he treat all y'all like it's a pet. So you are the pet of crooks. Rich and famous, you sit on the board at the High. That don't make no sense. Like the High Museum now has First Fridays when they got jazz and it's cool. There's some cultural shit. But the aesthetics in the art, right? For instance, I was at the Christmas Attic Center. And the Christmas Attic Center, I went in there for my class to try to get some stuff because of the race riots in the 1960s. But in the Christmas Attic Centers, Christmas Attic is known for intervening in white-on-white violence and being the first person to bleed for his masters as they try to get rid of their masters. So if you want to take a positive thing out there, at least Christopher Addicts will die for what he believed in, whatever the fuck he believed in. I don't know. But the Christmas Addicts organization, they've been around for a while, and they covered this story, and they made a museum, and right next to the sister who was murdered by these crackers, and the city wouldn't do nothing, that caused a race riot. They have the police and paying homage to police in this museum. So being on the board of the High Museum, as Jay-Z is on the board of the Super Bowl to tell you who get to perform, it's not as important as what the fuck they gonna say when they performing. So when you have what that guy Bunny name that we was arguing about the other day, Bad Bunny. I'm sorry. When those
We was talking about that a while ago.
I'm sorry, but when those performers came out, they was running with the big ass American flag in the front and all the other flags in the back, including flags that the U.S. is literally trying to destabilize now. So I don't want to hear you at the fucking High Museum, unless you can really bring in some artists and cultural workers who can do some stuff. So anyway, office of the mayor. Well, okay, the reason why you got the office of the mayor because they use your ass to quell the rebellion. When you came on there a couple of years ago and cried for Keisha Lance Bottom and say get out, and you started having a love porn fest for police. My daddy's the police officer, and start crying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not only that the lyrics are whack wordplay, but all of it is factually incorrect and stupid, right? So if you listen to, I'm still mad because I don't know how the fuck Killer Mike got famous as like as a serious rapper, and I don't know who Run the Jewels. I've never listened to anything about Run the Jewels. So if Run the Jewels really was that hard, sorry, I missed the wave. I remember the nigga says a D and an A missing out my Adidas. That's what I remember Killer Mike for. The whole world's love it when you do the song. So I ran over.
Do you have the lyrics? You said they have them written out. So if you could pull those up, that'd be great. So we could read that excellence we just saw. Amber, since we haven't heard as much from you, what you think?
I really don't give a fuck about none of this shit. To be honest with you, the shit was lame. All he did was talk about knowing rich people, being a rich nigga with a fine wife. Mind you, she not that good looking, but that's all he was talking about. I don't care about none of that shit.
I do think that the talking about the light skinned wife again, like this is the very conscious man, or whatever he said. So maybe his wife's not light; he's got a yellow bone or something. I can't believe we still saying that.
The chat
That
agrees with me. Somebody said Amber's me, and then somebody else said tell him Amber. Exactly. Let's move on. And we really want to talk about shit that's happening. Let's talk about how Tennessee made our school board elections partisan. And the first election since the partisan elections, Democrats swept both the largest school district counties, meaning Shelby County and Knox County. And now them bitches somewhere crying about this shit. Because everything they tried to do against us then went the wrong way.
this is the joy I get to have as co-host here. So Amber wants to jump stories completely, and
I'm just saying. I actually don't have a story about it. I just wanted to point out that we really was whooping them niggas' asses. And this should be a warning. I think all those other states did the right thing when they canceled their redistricting. Because this should be a warning to people that redistricting is not the best thing for you to do. Y'all redistricted and now look at you dumb motherfuckers. Andy Ogleston lost his primary. The motherfuckers have lost their school board races. People that swept the county elections. It's just not a good thing to do.
Well, I want to finish this, but a good segue for that is for you to kind of answer what Justin and them how have people in your part of the woods have been talking about and engaging DSA, especially the Justin Peterson, or whoever is Pearson. I don't know. I'm sorry, the last name, but how do they talk about the DSA? Before we get there, I do want to finish about this the Killer Mike and the Westmore stuff, because it's not irrelevant to all of our struggles around what the Democrat Party in general and what DSA is doing and how it impacts the work that we claim that we all are doing. So I do think it's still relevant.
I agree. Also, my brain can't. I gotta. I'm trying to follow. Okay, so and then we'll switch. All right, I'm back. First of all, uh, I always say Ti got a weird case. Why is he around? So let's just start there. Killer Mike. We've done this before, by the way. I know Dre just asked if we're gonna look at that video where he talked about FD in one of the old podcasts. But yeah, he did a conversation with Charlemagne the God. We covered it on Friday already. We already broke it down where he's flirting with right wing elements, where he shouts out Farrakhan, where he says we have to get our gender politics back to how the nation used to do things, right? So I already critiqued that he has a right wing gender politic, and this is like the biggest red flag for folks. I don't think there needs to be much more. Right there, how you treat gay people and women, trans people, to me is all I need to know in this era. Malcolm was transforming past that 70 years ago. So if you're not even at that level, and we're gonna get to that video, the brother with Malcolm in the back, right? Then you're not where we need to be in the first place. So Killer Mike has said a bunch of really sus shit about black women. He just did this then about I got a fine yellow bone. My wife knows is so bad she knows to play dumb. What the fuck does that even mean, bro? Like, what does that mean, man? It's so strange. Uh no. So let's start here. TA doesn't advocate. Yes, he does. Yes, because it was dismissed. Let's talk about that dismissal. So I wanted to just lay out some receipts. I have no problem exposing people.
I mean, but if we're using that rhetoric, I got a couple cases because my shit been dismissed too.
Well, I don't care about the dismissal so much as like this is the same thing. People were like,
If the case
Cosby had
existed in
a
the first
case
place.
dismissed. Well, yeah, and then there's multiple people, so it's not just one. Like Cosby has cases, And so if he wins one, people will be like, see, I told you. And it's like, well, man, we got like 30 more, bro. Then let's work our
Yeah.
way down. So this is the three more accusers claim abuse by rapper T.I. and wife Tiny. Lawyer calls claims not credible. Of course, their paid lawyer is going to say that. So, rapper T.I. and his wife Tiny are denouncing allegations against them after three more accusers have come forward with abuse claims against the couple. So let's just look at the history of abuse, y'all. Let's look at these patterns, right? Oh, one off, sure, but then multiple people come forward and they start describing the same pattern of abuse, and they have multiple details over many years. And I was in Miami and this happened. I was in Houston. I was at their house in LA. So looks strange to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, one, two, three, it's a little suspect, but no. So Tyrone Blackburn, who is already representing 11 other accusers, has retained three more accusers seeking a criminal investigation. The latest claims include drugging, sex trafficking, and rape. None of the accusers shared their names, and of course, Tiny's team is saying, well, if they didn't share the names, they're hiding. They're cowards, right? Yes, people who have been assaulted tend not to want to expose themselves in a system that doesn't get them protected or justice. So this case, the one that was dismissed, they said it was statute of limitations and that the person didn't come forward in a timely manner for whatever reason. So it wasn't even dismissed on the facts of the case. It was dismissed more on a technicality. So just more that will drop. But here's the lawyer by hiding
Westmore is
behind
the
it.
governor of Maryland. Somebody's asking who is Westmore. He's the governor of Maryland. And Geechee's in
Gotcha.
Baltimore right now. That's why we talking about this, because he wants y'all to know he in Baltimore. And so we need to talk about Maryland politics.
Word. By hiding behind anonymous allegations, the unnamed accusers effectively render themselves not credible and unworthy of belief. That is not how we discuss rape allegations. One of the most jarring claims comes from a woman who details an encounter with the couple in Miami when she was 20 years old. She says T.I. forced her to swallow a pill, take a powdered substance, which drugged her, and then Tiny engaged in sexual intercourse that she did not consent to. And so there's more here. But again, Blackburn says he representing 11 people who allege that this happened. And so this is T.I. This is who Killer Mike surrounds himself with.
Yeah, but you just said it. Killer Mike is just as a freaky ass nigga, the same T.I. and Tiny. Like he's talking about Blue Flame, like
and
so.
Charlemagne and
Yeah,
the nation
yeah. That's what I'm
seems to
saying. But
support sexual abusers. That's the pattern I'm saying. But
yeah, but I mean, let's not talk about like their daddy is Trumps and the Epsteins of the world, because they want their proximity to white. They want to be those. They want to be the rich billionaires who also as dehumanize people in every aspect of the world. Like that's what their aspirations. And so this is my point, right? So last night when I was having a conversation, one of my bros who's a sincere young brother who just being pulled the wrong way, and I kept encouraging him like, yo, you need to stay more around Davon and them and listen to. I know Davon and them be saying some shit and it sounds like it's too radical, but like you need to listen to them niggas more and build and fortify your relationship with them, because they believe, just like that goofy dude that you're gonna play the video second, that these niggas can just be talked to,
right,
and told their opinion. These niggas is telling you they want to be the niggas who's trying to remove you from off this planet. That's who they want to be. So they're not your friends. They're not like so of course they got weird ass sex cases, because that's who the fuck they trying to be. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, but sometimes when you just say like a case, you get into the conversation like you wouldn't even know the details of who the lawyer is and why he got 11 other people and whatever. And I'm not saying who's whatever, because I don't know. Because, for instance, I know situations where, like I told you, with people like Charlemagne, because we grew up together and there's people around, and the people that got harmed, we all know. So it's a different conversation than some random people reading about on the internet, because we don't really know we don't know the details. But sometimes when you get the details, trust me, their business practices is a high indicator of their fucking morality.
Yeah.
So
the last time we had this convo, I mentioned him. Tume talked about his first engagement at Harvey Weinstein. It wasn't with any of this sexual assault or misconduct. It was as a worker on his set, where he said Weinstein was abusing the workers and violating employment practices and talking shit to people and treating them like trash. So yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. If you do this, you do that. Rick Ross says Molly out there in Champagne, you don't even know it, right? At the same time, this brother's abusing his Wingstop workers and paying them below minimum wage. The capitalists, the slave masters were capitalists, right? So the rapists, the capitalism, it's always going together. We can just jump to the response so we can move through this story. But to that point, the reason I sometimes will start here, and it depends on the person, because I know some people will be resistant to, oh, that's gossip, or I can't know, or their mind just instantly shuts down into defense, and the black man's getting railroaded by the system or whatnot. And that's just not, it's unfortunate, but that is where some people's brains go. If I were to start with the politics sometimes as well, some folks will be on the impression like, oh, you're into theory, or everyone's trying their best, or something like. So if you start sometimes with the political and taking it down that way, I think there's some folks who will think that, well, you're just this radical and whatnot, and everyone else isn't, and so you have to give that forgiveness. But that's where I still think people get to that. We can talk and we can change people's ideas. It's like, oh, well, that brother's just not as informed as you. Maybe if he sat down and had a conversation with you, he could learn. So the reason why I sometimes like to start with these personal failings, these personal issues, is because it takes people away from the, oh, you're just political or you're just academic kind of thing. So I'll start. Like I like to say, whatever level y'all want to get down on, if you want to get down on what their business practices are, I got you there. If you want to get down on the politics and the political history and why he's not Fred Hampton, I got you there. But I can start with the grimy, like, these are fucked up people. And if you want to do that, I know that's a point of connection for some people, where I can be like, okay, well, let's look at how these people actually move in their personal lives. And as you said, Geechee, there's always usually in our black community 1 or 2 degrees of separation before you actually know somebody who was affected by this. So that's why I like to take all of the different approaches to it. But there's a podcast Jared posted where some sisters were talking about this issue. I'm not sure what the podcast is. I'm going to get that information, but shout out them in that work. And they talk a bit, these 2 sisters here in the top right, to the brother on the bottom left, about Killer Mike. And he seems to take this approach that you just have to talk to people, or people can be transformed. And I just want to say, with Black Men Build, we often get that a lot. Like, well, people can be transformed. But if you see our values pledge on the bottom, we said, if you choose to use our struggle, Black people who choose to use our struggle for personal and financial benefit need not apply. So I just, like, there is a specific caveat there to not all brothers everywhere can be transformed, because some people don't want to. So here's the clip. Hopefully I have it queued at the right point. We'll see if I got to move it around a bit.
Now, really quickly, I do agree. You see on the bottom, it says Black BK destroys Killer Mike. He got bodied. I do agree with the brother. Small pieces that most of Killer Mike sympathizers and empathizers and sycophants, it's not going to respond well. They'll hate watch that video. They ain't going to listen to shit you saying on that video. Just because of the type.
Coming after their guy. Yeah.
Just because of the title, though. Just because of the title. They're less interested. He got bodied, which is true. He did in our theoretical, intellectual sense. He got bodied, but like you talking to somebody, Jesus, bro.
Yeah,
that's somebody
celebrity
Jesus.
worship, celebrity culture. Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Fuck no, people have class enemies. Actually, flesh this out. It's going to for him to ideas and then you turn around on the Breakfast Club. It's very interesting. No, I don't think we need
human beings. So
I'm just like, oh, it's just a difference of opinion. No, you're peddling misinformation. Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It fucks with but the position you're taking is like it's a cook thing. I don't even think it should be like that. I think it should be acknowledging what you're saying and helping him grow as a person. It shouldn't be a debate. It should be let me hear what you have to say so I can learn something. And we shouldn't be going back and forth and trying to like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying having a real conversation as human beings so I can hear your side like, damn, okay, I feel that. You right about that. That widens up the perspective. I think a lot of times when ideals that are different, we come together, it's always like we got to debate, we got to fight each other. No, I don't want to fight you. I want to learn from you. And I think as a leader, you have to go into it like that. So you saying he'll get cooked, I don't even think that should be the environment of them even going. It shouldn't even be like that. It should be like, yo, brother, let me come here. Let me show you something. Oh, for real? Okay, let me tell you my side of it. Anyway, I'm sorry, BK. Go ahead.
No, that might have been the energy before the Breakfast Club interview, I think, or where apparently through the grapevine, this is how it's told, is that he, purported to be seeking Dr. Ball's mentorship or guidance in that, and it wasn't actually followed through on. It was like, okay, it seems like your ideas, and if I actually flesh this out, it's going to hit my pocket and my grift and my brand, and I can't have that unravel. And so I think it just wasn't, he looked down the street and around the corner and saw it wasn't advantageous for him to, in good faith, engage. And that's why I wish it could be, this beautiful nuanced discussion and a clash of ideas in a healthy way. But when you say, oh yeah, okay, your book, yeah, I want to, mentor me and guide me. And then you turn around on the Breakfast Club and say, yeah, I seen your book, little nigga. Yeah. That's the little look you wanted to get. And like, just absolutely disrespecting the work. That's when it's just like, okay, I can see when someone wants to like meet you with disrespect, which I haven't seen FD and Dr. Ball do. It's just very interesting that this is the approach. Very hostile, very angry, very like, get off my nuts. And you in the wrong, nigga. Like you are. So I don't know. It's just infuriating a bit.
No, I don't think we need to just sit down.
Amber, it reminds me earlier of what you talked about with the mailers and like getting it out there, because she's pointing out that Killer Mike can go on a much bigger platform like the Breakfast Club and just spew some nonsense, like straight up, and all the misinformation isn't there. So, I don't think this brother's going to process what he just heard, which is another thing that happens in conversation, which is why you have to like ground emotionally with people and sometimes turn the camera off and all of that. So he's heard something like this person has a vested interest in not doing the thing you want them to do, which is to come to the conversation, which is to transform. They get paid to not do that. So this sister just laid out why. She gave evidence that Jared tried to do that in the past and it didn't work. And I think this brother heard that and went in one ear, right out the other, because he's committed to this like discourse and it's all good ideas. And he even says this with Malcolm behind him, which is funny to me. The Malcolm thing is it's very funny, where he's like, he's a leader. He keeps calling Killer Mike a leader in this segment. And I'm just like, how? This is the famous Malcolm quote, trumpet players and entertainers and stuff like that. Who made Killer Mike a leader?
That's the worst. That's the worst, Mike. That's the worst Malcolm X quote to use. The best Malcolm X quote to use is, those same entertainers, they gonna trot the motherfuckers out of there whenever you're ready to tear shit up, and they gonna tell y'all to go home. Exactly what Killer Mike did in Atlanta. Keisha Lance Bottom had him. He's crying on the TV, telling the people to go home and stop tearing up Target and stop tearing up corporations, not their blocks. Niggas wasn't in Pittsburgh neighborhood tearing up houses. That's not what they was doing. Killer Mike got on TV and say that's what they was doing. Y'all tearing up your own stuff. They was not. Any of those movement, even if it wasn't organized, had nothing to do with tearing up their own houses. That's what he kept saying while he says kill your master's shirt. So he's a villain. Like, I think somebody was saying that, maybe Dre or somebody, whatever. But like, Killer Mike is a villain. He's a really deplorable bad person for many other reasons other than how he treat women, how he treat his wife. But like, he's just and there's literally no stopping it, right? And so again, less about the person and more about the politics and evidence of why you can no longer accept him for being anything radical for black people, progressive, moving us forward. Any of that conversation about anything about him being with us need to be removed the fuck out of our minds. He's fully lodged over there. He ain't never coming back. Let the motherfucker go over there.
Well, I think this sister's about to say something similar. So I think BK is the one in the center. I think someone in the chat has already helped us think. A-Rob did, that this is Culture United. It's a bunch of different content creators. They come together and they kind of have these combos. Culture United is like a merger of different content creators. Justin has his own channel called Company Man, and all the others have their own channel. So they all come together and they have this discourse. Shout out BK. I think she laid it out Again, my point is, I don't know how much this brother's going to hear, but this other sister on the right lays it out even plainer in the language that I would prefer, right? But still, I don't think it's going to be too well received by this brother down here.
Down and have a meeting of the minds about ideas because we're all good people and we're trying to work together. Fuck no. People have class enemies. People become class traitors. That nigga is not a capitalist. You're not a capitalist. A capitalist can live off of their money, investments, and other people's labor on their own. Killer Mike still has to get out and fucking rap in that circle in order to fucking survive. You're not a capitalist. So first of all, you're acting like you're something that you're not. And you're presenting it to your community as if we the real niggas, you need to come do it our way. These other niggas is fake revolutionaries, which is such a disrespectful thing to say with a professor, a teacher, a doctor that's spending their labor value trying to understand the way economics works, the way society has generationally oppressed Black people, and explain it to people so that they can utilize their own labor power to make change. For you to get your stupid ass up there and say, oh, these niggas is just fucking haters because we rich and balling and we fucking Negro Magneto, you should be ashamed of yourself. No, that's not somebody that we need to just sit down at the table and listen to each other. Killer Mike got a point. The shit say Black Bank, but it ain't really a bank. It's an app, but he's trying to teach y'all how to trick niggas into getting money to get y'all free. No, it's class warfare. And for him to send that message, he's basically saying these dumbass niggas don't know what they talking about. You know how I know? Because they not rich and we are. That's class warfare. So no, I don't think we should just get together and hear each other out and then we can have a good conversation. No, you're supposed to recognize your enemy. And I also think the reverse is true. I think Killer Mike is looking at FD as an enemy. What's wrong with this nigga? I'm out here getting rich and this nigga's trying to stop my pockets. This nigga's a fucking hater. So he also recognizes his class enemy too. And he's fucking right. That upper class benefits from strangling the lower class. So to him, in his mind, any nigga that's sitting around trying to explain to niggas why this ain't the way to be and I shouldn't be doing the shit that helps me feed my family, what niggas like to say when your family was fed, nigga, 100 hustles ago, anybody who's saying anything that can fuck that up is my class enemy. So when you're talking about two class enemies operating against each other, no, I don't think the right idea is let's just sit down and hear each other out and then maybe one day we can all just get along and kumbaya. No, I fucking disagree. And I'm not sure it's one or the other. Either Killer Mike understands exactly how this works, because y'all keep saying he hella smart. I keep hearing this over and over again. I haven't seen the evidence of it, but y'all keep saying this over and over again that he's hella smart. So if he's hella smart and he studied, he knows exactly why Black capitalism will not liberate Black people in America, because it's been studied a fuck ton of times, a lot of times. There is so much evidence on why that doesn't work. It's like, it's clear as day. So if you're still pushing it, either you're not as well studied as you say you are, or you're exactly well studied and you made the choice that you don't give a fuck. And it's one thing to do it. It's another thing to go out and shoot at the people that are highlighting that it's a problem. So I don't think that this is in any way just people sharing ideas. No, I don't fucking think so. They need to just sit down and talk. Shouldn't be a debate. Like, no, it should be warfare. That's what it is.
So L, you would have, you think Killer Mike and Dr. Ball should shoot each other? You say like today.
So that response, let's highlight everything the sister said was beautiful, right? She even ended with my little triangle. You can either black bourgeoisie, you're either sociopaths or delusional or both. So you either know what's going on and you're trying to get up, you don't know what's going on and you truly believe in this shit, or it's some sort of combination of the two. So I just appreciated that. Everything she said, just good work.
So I want to apologize to Black women right now because I know it is difficult dealing with us. But before he even talked, they laid the shit out already. So by the time you get to this part, they have to reiterate what the fuck they said before, because they literally laid all this out. So his question is almost like this goofy ain't listening to nothing they're saying and asking questions in his head because he's not listening. I'm telling you, they're repeating, like you're hearing them repeat everything that they said, and they're. So this has made me think of this. Remember, all the Master's Tool Will Never Dismantle the Master's House was a lecture that was turned into a book. And all I'm saying is these two sisters should turn this little broadcast into a book. And like, that's the fuck we should be talking. We should be talking about that for now. Thanks for your book, Jared. Good job. But now these sisters need to write a new book to get people to read that book. have serious conversation. And again, the reason why I'm very this is very personal, because again, remember, like, I was in Baltimore for a while, like 6 or 7 years, and when Jared book came out, we were trying to implement it into some of the work that I was doing. Like, so for instance, when I was with Westmore and doing that project, when Westmore came to Baltimore to do a project with us, the Mobility Labs, I was trying to push the conclusions inside that space. And it start with, like, I asked everybody who's, Westmore said he had a poverty fighting organization. And I asked everybody, and I said, could y'all all tell, if y'all all told me how poverty is created, y'all all would give me the same, different definitions, different rhetorics. And like they all start stuttering. I mean, there's a bunch of them, including him. He was on there too. And the way people were responding to Jared's book, not only these goofy politicians, but the regular people today, right? And even people on the left. Black people, including on the left, have not fully divorced themselves from entrepreneurial ideas and gifts. Even niggas on the left, when they talk about cooperatives and other stuff, them niggas is still using the same logic and behavioral power relations of the entrepreneurial spirit. And what I'm saying is this again, Jared, that's my guy. But the book and the research is bigger than Jared, right? So let's make it less about him and make it about what the fuck he's saying and what he spent time researching. And again, these sisters, please publish this shit. Please expound on this shit and then figure some shit out, because I almost want to say I hate that dude worse than I hate Killer Mike, because there's more niggas in this community like that nigga than there are Killer Mike.
Well, that's I think that's what you're getting at, which is the danger of the fact that this mentality is rampant. The not listening, and it is amplified by them being women, no question. I think when you're challenged on deeply held beliefs like this, and I've had many conversations about all these things, that response is a lot of people, regardless of identity, are just going to be like, so you're saying is, and they're just going to say something that you didn't say, despite how much effort you put into outlining it. But in this case in particular, yes, I think two black women challenging him that way, it very much gives the No Name J. Cole energy, back to the why I don't like J. Cole kind of conversation, where you could beautifully outline something, you put a little harshness to it, a little urgency to it, and the tone is read as, oh, well, I don't gonna listen to this, you're just being aggressive, you're just saying they should shoot each other, right? So that's the thing. I still think it's the relationship to celebrity at the core of it too that we have to examine. Like, this dude, even how Malcolm is positioned here, right, as like this figure, is almost like celebrity to me. Now you can, of course, I have Malcolm. He's my phone background. Like, I love it. Like, you can shout out the ancestors all the time, but they're people. They're just regular people. So, like, he says he knows Killer Mike for a while. He has this deeper relationship with dude. So he's just going to defend him. He's basically saying that the entire time, because I like Killer Mike, I'm biased, is what he's saying. But bias is like, no, you're doing knee-jerk defense of this person because they are a celebrity. And even thinking about how Malcolm interacted with celebrity, Malcolm wasn't chasing after Muhammad Ali like that. Like, they were cool, they were friends, there was a level of respect, but Ali came to Malcolm for direction, not the reverse. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, Malcolm wasn't like, Ali, you're a leader. As a leader in the community, that doesn't make any sense. You're the organizer. You're the one in the community with the knowledge. You're the one tapped in with the people. So you provide that guidance. And so that also is just like my kind of irritation here. Is that Killer Mike is a celebrity. So if anything, he's somebody, if you do want to have that kind of let's talk and let's come to the table, he shouldn't be coming to you as like some sort of, I'm an equal to you intellectually or in terms of my politics or something like that. It really should be, I don't know what I'm doing. I care about Black people. I want to learn. Put me on. So that's the last thing I had to say on this. Amber, we've held you hostage on this story long enough. Were there any thoughts you wanted to share, or you want to hop into one of the new things on the run sheet?
I have no thoughts. I didn't even know there was a run sheet.
There's always a run sheet. What do you mean? All right, dropping the run sheet that's always there in our chat. But we can go into this next story or one of the next stories if you're interested. But this is the story, and again, it started because he was talking to Wes Moore and doing his typical cover for things. The only thing I said I disagree with uh, is that he's not a capitalist. Sort of thing. He is, but as I've used with the Claudia Jones quote a dozen times at this point, he's a black capitalist. So it's a very specific type of capitalist that will be subordinate to white capital, like the person who owns Conversate with him, like the person who owns his banking app, like all the white people he works with, like Sean or whatever his name is, Kemp, who he shakes hands with, right? But it's still a form of capitalism. He's
Are you
still
talking about
exploiting
Governor
you.
Kemp?
Yeah, Governor Kemp. Thank you. Brian Kemp, right? But he's still exploiting you, and he still trades in influence because that's his whole thing is trying to appear like a black leader. So he is doing his job. The fact that that brother thinks that way means that as a black capitalist, Killer Mike has succeeded because again, the commodity is petty bourgeois nationalism. So when he says conversate, all right. And he has his thing, and I'm black this, and I can talk to the Hawks, and I'm ice like Trey Young, and he's doing the freestyles, and he's doing all of this is to white people see that stuff, and yes, some of them get into it because white people love consuming our shit. But the people he's signaling to for that approval is black people, and that is what makes him a black capitalist. So I just
Well,
wanted to. That's the only thing I would add to her analysis. Everything else,
I don't know if I would
spot
add
on.
that. I don't know if I would add that to her analysis. I think even if she was here, she would be able to clearly tell you and argue why Killer Mike is not a capitalist and why black capitalism is a I don't know how to say the word, pejorative word, very similar. Even though JC fell or whatever, but it's very similar to pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. It's not even possible to do. That's why Killer Mike said he's on the phone with the capitalists. He can get you in the Hawks game and Blue Fame, but the niggas who actually own stuff, like now, is he posturing? Yeah, like do he have a job and what? Like Bankhead Seafood that him and T.I. own now. I'm sure as you look with everything, just like with the rent to own stuff, it's always going to be the actual capitalist behind them. Like he's the pet of the capitalist. He's cannon fodder for the capitalist. But he that boy not moving capital like that. He don't have no power to. Jay-Z don't have power to move capital like that. Live Nation is owned by John C. Malone, the same nigga who control BET. Like them the capitalists. The nigga who own most of the land in the country, them the nigga the capitalists. These niggas are the cannon fodder for the capitalists. I think that's what they will argue. And I don't want to argue for them, but that's what I would argue. And that's what it sounded like they was
I'm
arguing.
not. I don't think Claudia Jones is arguing that different than that, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, her point is that that is the role of the black capitalist. So what you're saying, 'cause, like, if we're saying the richest black man, like, is still not a capitalist, I'm not buying that. The point is that they're a capitalist within a Jim Crow market. That's what she's saying. So comprador is fine; those terms all exist. But Claudia Jones's point is, yes, they still try to operate. Rick Ross still operates like a capitalist. He owns a Wingstop.
He tried, yeah.
He pays people, exploits labor value from his employees.
Right.
He is making wealth.
He owns a franchise of the capitalist is the nigga who actually own the Wingstop and then the lands that produce the
Sure.
yeah.
Right, and he's never going to be the owner of Wingstop in that sense. But
He's
as
gonna
a black capitalist, his role is he is still exploiting labor. He still owns some parts of the means of production, but within the broader white capitalist world. So they are junior partners, petty bourgeoisie, if you want to use the term cool. But there's a reason that they move like capitalists. They identify with the ideology, and if they were in that position to own the land, to do that, they would immediately fit right in. And sometimes they are
Barack
given
Obama.
pieces, right? Sometimes they are given big pieces of the white capitalist empire to manage. So that's what I'm saying. The black capitalist has always been discussed as a myth. So that's all I was trying to say. I would say that he is a specific type. He is a black capitalist, and we can talk about what that means historically. But he is somebody who is trying to own certain means of production and exploit people to live. And I'm not sure that he has to rap anymore. Some of them do to maintain that influence, but I don't think he has to rap anymore to live. He has a barbershop. If y'all know capitalism, like in our community, barbershops, salons, that's some of the first places it emerges. right? Where it's like, well, I don't want to cut hair all day, so I'm going to hire somebody else who can do it for me, and then I'm going to own a salon. I'm going to own a chain of salons, and all. Like that is a part of the black bourgeois market where white people aren't going to do it
It's
the
not
same way.
lucrative either. It's not lucrative. Like I would,
Right.
I would love
Yep.
somebody to do a JT Pocket Watch audit on Killer Mike, because I don't know if I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he got it like how you think he got it. Like he because again, a lot of times those people don't really be having all of this capital and money. They just show up and they get little because so I know this is probably gonna sound bad, but like Amber, you're a dog lover, right? And you know how like somebody see your dog and they're like, oh my gosh, and they like excited about your dog. Like that's essentially what I feel people are doing to Tony Wrestler's dog. Like Tony Wrestler's pet, one of his pets, he got a couple pets. One of his pets is Killer Mike, and people are enamored with one of his pets. That's kind of how I see it. And so I don't see him. I see Tony Wrestler as the person because again, even in Killer Mike's song, he pay even if you look at John Hope Bryant, and then you listen to Jeff Bezos. Did you see that clip? And I'll find it of John Hope Bryant talking to the NBA owner and the NBA CEO and the NFL CEO. Like they was sunning him. Like he was saying wrong things, clearly wrong things that they wouldn't even follow his investment strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see them in same thing when Kevin Hart was on an interview with the Grand Cormino person, like they look like little children compared to these people, and they don't take them serious. Like you. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like when Jay-Z called to get in on the weed industry, one of the big white conglomerates said, "Who are you again? And how you get my number?" And they was like, "Oh no, that's Jay-Z. He's like the biggest." And then they did a deal with Jay-Z, but the deal was he's the marketing person. So like that's why I'm like I don't know. Maybe it's a larger conversation, but like the marketing people and the mascots, they're normally not the like they don't normally have the power that we claim that we think they really have. Now they have the influence, and obviously they are worth an investment, i.e. the Epstein conversation around Jay-Z. So they do have that, but in terms of the money part, right? So I don't know.
No, I think we're agreeing. And Sazi the African, cool name, says the analysis needs to add in class composition. There's big capitalists and small capitalists. They're capitalists, just a weaker strata. And then, that's essentially what I'm trying to argue. And I think the book Jared's interviewed is a good pairing, I would say, with the myth of Black Buying Power is the Color of Money by Mercer Baradaran. I think she's been interviewed on the platform as well, if you want to check that out. But this was a great one where it just goes through the history of black banks and those small capitalists, because the rule of thumb is if it doesn't work in the white community, right? If it doesn't work for white people, it definitely don't work for us. That is the rule. So I just thought what's interesting about it, again, when we talk about the banks, there's only like 3 or 4. Everyone can point this out with capitalists. Even among white people, only a small percentage get to win in the game of capitalism. So she goes through even talking about the white banks. Before Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase and all of that just took over everything, there were small capitalist white banks that got swallowed. Big bank take little bank type thing. And so, again, looking at the history of black bourgeoisie, black capitalists, they were never given that position, as Chidimaka says in the chat. So they're never going to be put in a position to own capital, to control the means of production. But they were given ceremonial roles. Like they tried to give Frederick Douglass a ceremonial role over the Freedmen's Bank. And by the time he got there, he's like, wait, these white capitalists have taken this and gambled away our wealth on railroads. And they don't care about us like that. And then the ones that were able to get a little bit of capital, start small banks, just got swallowed because they weren't allowed to have access to credit or more capital to expand like other white capitalists. So the goal, it wasn't that they were, because this ends up being a thing with the black business class, where they think that we're saying they're inferior, or we're saying that black people can't own wealth, or black people couldn't be capitalists. That's not true. We're pointing out the structural reasons why it won't be successful, but we're also saying that when you try to do that role, this is what's going to happen. This is your trajectory. So I think that's the major thing. It's not that you're less capable. You could be a far better businessman, and quite a few of us are. You could be far more savvy in your field, have more expertise, be more intelligent, be more driven, all of those things. But structurally, all of the things that this book outlines are going to be the reason why you fail. And so that's what I like. The role of the Black capitalist is like the doom role, kind of like the HBCU, and its role is going to be doomed in this society because it's never going to let you have self-determination. So
yeah. So a couple of years ago, we got accused for bringing non-Black people into our conversations and reading white people and all this other stuff, and it was Mercer Baradaran because we was pairing Jared's book with that book with The Whiteness of Wealth. Whiteness of Wealth is by Dorothy Brown. Dorothy Brown and Mercer Baradaran both are academics, decorated academics in particular ways, and both of them set out to do research on something that had nothing to do with race at first. Dorothy Brown did the tax whatever, and she was studying on banks. She changed that book title after she did the research because she saw what was happening consistently the Black banks since Reconstruction. And really even before that, Killer Mike claimed that he read that book. He understand that book. She actually talked shit about Killer Mike at the end of the book, according to how I read it. And we try to we try to put these conversations in these spaces because remember, well, you don't remember, when I was in Baltimore and I was going back and forth from Baltimore to Charleston, and I actually raised funds for my youth program that T.I. donated to. T.I. matched the funds, right? And so this is what I'm saying. Some of these things are like really, really personal because like there's a lot of conflict that happens just because niggas wasn't just reading Jared Book. And not only Jared Book or Mercer Baradaban or whatever. And people were falling out over Killer Mike because Killer Mike did have the extra money to fund a lot of these Black women doing things and whatever. And those Black women became, like Charlemagne has, his cannon fodder. Mm-hmm. And they protected him. And then he came out with this bank shit. And then niggas lost money. Then he went underground and did a podcast. And now he back up still talking shit. When our original critiques of him actually came true. And so now, but again, people forgetting about now, remember the bank, I think it was in Utah. It was a white bank in Utah. And all banks are required to set out loans within the zip code. So that means if all Black people support this fucking banking app, all your money is going to a white bank that you're not getting none of the fucking loans. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this is evil, bro. I don't know what else other word. Like this is extremely evil, and it's evil because not only do Killer Mike know exactly what he's doing, him and Nard and T.I. and whoever else in them spaces, they are literally having conversations with us, and they know us personally, and they still and whenever Jared said Killer Mike went on, they had a conversation, and then he did something, and then he like joined BAP, and then went on social media to say something. I think the one part is the money. The other thing is because again, you know these people personally, they grow up. It's 219 people on here right now. And at the height, we're going to get 3,000 views. Them niggas can cut on their camera and didn't say shit yet. And there will be 70,000 people within the last 2 seconds listening to them. Mm-hmm. And by the time they get going, them niggas got 3, 4, 5 million niggas on it. So like, money is one of the things, but the other thing is like, they're in an environment where they can actually believe the fucking lies at this point. Because they got so many people who just, they're not even listening to what they're saying. All they know is that's the dude who got the book deal. That's the dude who be around with the white people. That's the dude who can call you and get the Hawks game. And I think that does something for their ego too, to double down on the shit. Like this nigga, Lorick tell me this shit. Like Lorick said I shouldn't do this, but 17 million niggas tell me that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm a leader. And
yeah, for people who I do think there's not a level of deep engagement there though. Like people are not using that to actually engage their communities in a deep way. So I think there is a surface level, even if they're getting more views, it's in entertainment, or it's what's the nigga talking about? And let me just flip it on and then I'll scroll to TikTok or something after that. So But yeah, we're just saying they have access to the means of production in a way of communications. So iHeartRadio, what you pointed out, the CIA ties there, all of those things, give them access. Uh, I am saying we can move on. I do see two things in the chat that are more about theory that I'm interested in, that are related to this, but I think we're just being dialectical. We're saying similar stuff. So Born of Africa says it sounds like petty bourgeois to me. And while I agree with identifying the distinction of black cash traders from white small business owners, black capitalists seems inaccurate. So, I mean, if we're being technical, even with the term, petty bourgeois is small capitalist. So I'm not disagreeing with you per se. I'm actually kind of agreeing. So if we're saying black capitalists are always going to be the small capitalists, that's true. But there are black capitalists who like own Coca-Cola factories or own the Jet magazines or something like that. So when we talk about the internal colonialism, neo-colonialism, we do have to understand that. So I don't say, yeah, sure, it does sound like petty bourgeois because it kind of is. But petty bourgeois is different when we're talking about race, right? Because race adds another dimension, which is why when Sazi the African says, why use black capitalists? The racial element is irrelevant. They're compradors or the aspiring national bourgeoisie. Well, that is racial. So that would be my only pushback there. The racial, when we say black, we know that's a stand-in for being African or being an oppressed nationality. So that's why when we're saying black capitalist, you're saying comprador. Or comprador is a term that talks about colonized people. Colonized people are racialized people. So you're just saying synonyms in my mind. So when you're saying why keep race in it, these are African people whose relationship is mediated by Euro Americans. That's racism, right? That when most people are saying racism, that's what they're describing. So if you want to just say we're Africans and it's colonialism and use that vocabulary, that's okay. I think a lot of people are going to start from the racial vocabulary because that's what we know. Oh, it's racist. This is how white people move. They won't even say capitalist or whatnot. So I think you're just substituting terms. But if I say black capitalist and you want to say comprador or you want to say national bourgeoisie, fine with me. I think it's splitting hairs at the end of the day. All right. Amber says our stories are sad, unfortunately. So I'll try to pick a
I
light
kind
one.
of.
What?
I kind of think we should talk about this other thing. It's kind of a
Go ahead.
conundrum. I feel like I just came across this, earlier while y'all were talking, and I think we should discuss it because all the bougie blacks is going to, they're going to Martha's Vineyard right now, and would you have it that Justin Pearson is doing an event with Angela Davis, which I found interesting. Am I frozen?
No, I'm frozen somehow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought this was interesting, but also I was looking at the flyer even more, and I was like, Barbara Ramsey is a host. Are we talking about Barbara Ramsey, who wrote Ella Baker in the Black Freedom Movement? Barbara Ramsey? And we are. And I feel like this is interesting because we were just talking about the DSA thing earlier, and then we were talking about like the establishment dem thing earlier. And then I don't know. I feel like Angela Davis has made this
ex-communist party lady.
Yeah, I feel like she's made this pivot in the last since 2020 of some of these kind of questionable ideals she's had and other stuff. I just thought this was interesting that he was doing an event with her and that the host was Barbara Ramsey, who wrote that Ella Baker book.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. That's why I asked that question. How do he and people around him respond to DSA? Like, how do they feel about DSA? Like,
That's what I thought about. Well, you wasn't here when I was saying that, but I was telling Lord we were talking about the DSA thing, and then I saw this, and I was like, it's really interesting to me because I don't feel like she is as radical as she used to be.
She actually wasn't as radical as she used to be either.
I'm done.
Well, one thing I'm pretty sure Oaks Bluff is in Martha's Vineyard. So
Yeah, Oaks Bluff is
okay,
like the majority black part where black folks used to go to vacation and stuff.
got you. Okay. I mean, I think you on the right track in terms of Angela Davis's trajectory has been more to the right over time.
Hmm.
But that can be said as early as even her case, right? Where the CPUSA kind of picked her up and made her the center of their organizing activism, used a bit of her intelligence, her career, but also her ties to the Black Panther Party to boost their own profile. While at the same time, George Jackson's case was kind of separated and he was left to fight on his own. So I know Dr. Joy James talks a little bit more about this. So she would be an expert to research. And I also know Angela Davis is interesting as somebody who can like hide her power level depending on the audience. So if she were in a more revolutionary space and you're to ask her certain questions, she'll be able to respond like somebody who knows what she's talking about. But then she'll also say that Obama carries on the Black radical tradition, which is borderline Fed talking point. So I don't even say borderline, it is a Fed talking point. So, I think that's somebody who's navigating individual celebrity versus kind of principled organization. And to be clear, the orgs that she was involved in were destroyed. So she seems to be without a political home in a lot of ways. And I think that might be so.
Might be part of it. Well, I would say Love I Am said that he's reading the Ella Baker book right now and asking what my thoughts are on it. I think it's a brilliant book. To me, it's one of the guiding lights for me as an organizer of like building out strategy. So I definitely think it's worth finishing. I also will say I was reading this and I forgot his campaign manager, Justin's campaign manager, Asha, who's one of my friends. Barbara Ramsey is her mom. I forgot about that though because I had never seen them together. I didn't put it together. I was like, oh, that is her mama. And her daddy is like this world-renowned physician. He's also a host. But I was just thinking, like, to me, those two people would have been like the people to be like, oh yeah, this is who is like the front line person. I wouldn't have put Angela Davis. And I also think I have some contention with it because I hate when people refer to me as Angela Davis like here. I'd be like, no. No. Like niggas have compared me to her and I'd be like, no. Because the same shit you were saying, Lorick, about the Barack Obama statements, even some of the shit that she said about Kamala Harris. I also don't like when academics and like scholar type people do this thing where they say a whole bunch of words, like they talk for like 10 minutes to say one simple thing. She talked for a long fucking time to say vote for Kamala Harris. She could have just said that. But she said all this other shit no one cares about. I hate when people do that because I also feel like it's not accessible to the average person. One, my attention span bad. Two, regular niggas don't understand what you're saying. We don't know what you're talking about, and you just talked for 10 minutes just to say some shit that we don't care about. Like, I was like, why did you do all of that? But I just thought this was interesting for the conversation we were having earlier, Geechee, about, like, where does DSA, because I don't see a lot of DSA support, like, on socials like that, but they have come down, like, physical bodies type shit, and that is really helpful. I am interested in this Angela Davis angle because I don't think he's an Angela Davis type. Like, Justin is an actual radical nigga. As somebody who organizes with him, like, I don't think Angela Davis would have done some of the stuff that Justin has done in the last few years. I don't think she would have went up so like.
Which Angela though?
Angela Davis, like where she is now.
Okay,
I don't think she would have went up so boldly against a billionaire pipeline deal. I don't think she would have done that.
So I don't. Normally, when we talk about these people, so for instance, like as Jared talked about Peniel Joseph, right? Normally, when we talk about these people, we are talking about the people we read who talked about these people. Like, most people don't know nothing about Angela Davis, and whenever it's like, how did you know about Angela Davis? You'd be like, oh, I've read so-and-so. I learned this thing, or I studied this, whatever. I listened to her own words. But I think George James does a good job at contextualizing. That's funny, hell. That's the book. The book called Contextualizing. But I think she does a good job contextualizing who Angela Davis is and was. There might be some arguments around Joy's approach and why Joy has this been like, because Joy used to work with Angela Davis, and there has been some other conversations around how they interact. But I would say for you, Amber, whoever said that, whatever, you remind me more of Queen Mother Moore, who was also with the Communist Party. But what she found out, just like everybody else, there's a class distinction within the Communist Party that's why they was going so hard at Garvey's race first, that Hubert Harrison had to defend. Hubert Harrison agreed that Garvey's class analysis is trash along with Garvey's first wife. But he was defending the race first against the goofy-ness that the Communist Party had some of its black young leaders on. And Angela represents the elite, because remember, if you study her case, like Angela mom always had some bread. They always had some bread. And she was in the Communist Party. So Angela was more of a daughter of the Communist Party. And there's a lot of political limitations that she had even when she was back then. So like you can listen to her, and another woman who I would compare you to is Fannie Lou Hamer and Queen Mother Moore. But if there's a video of Fannie Lou Hamer, Angela Davis, and Kwame Ture on the panel with some other liberal niggas. And if you watch that video, I think you will have Leah was right. I don't know what Zenzi meet. We always mishearing each other and there's always this reaction. But what I was saying was Angela is not as radical back then as we thought Angela was. George Jackson was radical. Manchild was radical, and everybody, and they were. But I wouldn't lodge her over there. I think she was associated with the spoke people, and like she there was a I don't know. This is conversation sometimes, even with the Audre Lorde stuff. Like when June Jordan struggled with her, the thing that Audre Lorde was critiquing white feminists for doing, silencing women on the left, black. Audre Lorde literally did that to June Jordan a little while, especially over the Palestine shit, whatever. And then after a while, she corrected herself, right? But Angela's, I'll be curious what people studied when they came to the conclusions with Angela being radical or left or whatever the case may be. But because recently she was just on a panel with some more sisters from Baltimore, and they was lighting her ass up too. So very similar how I think Leah, whoever said in the chat, when Dr. CBS and Ricky Ryan was on, I think, a panel with them, like you could clearly see Angela limitations. But those limitations, if you kind of study her, it was kind of always prevalent in her posture, and that's why people mistake her for being a Black Panther. But she was associated with those people, not really advocating for those people.
She wasn't really with them like that.
Yeah, she wasn't.
I think that was a good analysis, Geechee.
I was just gonna say she wasn't in the party, but she did work with them. You don't end up involved in that Marin County courthouse shootout. Yeah, there's just a period. People go through periods of their life. People are always transforming. Change is a constant. We know that sometimes that transformation is not in the direction we want. I wanted to just provide some receipts. Thank you for the reminder. There's a Black Myths podcast episode about Angela Davis for anyone who wants to explore this conversation more. It just outlines everything we've said with more detail, some receipts. When it drops some more receipts about the book Amber's referencing, I also had it, and Barbara Ransby signed it. My sister gave me that as a Christmas gift a few years ago. So
that's so crazy. Yeah, I need to ask Asha, can she give me a signed copy?
That is who got me the signed copy, by the way.
Asha?
Yeah.
How do you know Asha?
Because my sister know you. And my sister know everybody. I'm tapped in like Amber, y'all.
That's so crazy. That's my nigga for real.
So this is the book, Elevating the Black Freedom Movement. Great receipts. great discussion when we talk about democratic socialism and Ella Baker's struggles with socialism and that transformation in the direction I like. That book really does get into some of those elements. But Ella Baker was very praxis focused, and so that whole how do we make this
And
actually
as a nigga
exist?
who's very praxis focused myself, that was
Yeah.
my girl.
But always was around people who sharpened her and challenged her to understand theory as well. And she had a theory. It was just very, very primarily based around organizing, specifically grassroots radical organizing. And I think that is just overlooked very often. So I wanted to shout that out. I wanted to shout out the discussion that Geechee's referencing. Amber, I think you've seen clips of this as well and have mentioned it before. But Afro Marxist has the video from 1973, Black Leaders discussion featuring Angela Davis, Kwame Ture, and Fannie Lou Hamer. So if you want to check
We
that
watched
whole
some of it
convo
too.
out.
Remember we watched some of it and did like some critiques and stuff?
There we go. Yeah, so we brought it up. So yeah, just wanted to
Yeah, I
highlight
remember
those
it.
things. Yep. And then
I appreciate you highlighting those. I also put a story in the chat for you too for the next one. And I'm sorry to derail, but I did think that was a really interesting comparison that I wanted to kind of dig into since we had just talked about it earlier. I was like, I feel like we should analyze this.
yeah, no, it wasn't a derail. It was definitely connected. And also
And it
wanted to
also
shout
could be my own villain origin story of wanting to deplatform Angela Davis a little bit. But it's cool. I just feel like, we should put the Barbara Ramseys to the front. All I'm saying.
I want to revisit that later. What I will say
Dizzy
is,
had a good comment too, but I lost it. But she talked about how we only talk about like your Angela compared to Asada when there's so many other people, and I agree. There's so many other Black women revolutionaries we don't talk about, and that's really all I'm trying to say is that we should really talk about them more.
100% agree, which reminds me, shout out Tanda Caesar to Moringa, work with Tandy. On Sundays, there have been Black August study and struggle sessions. So they're reading two books. The second one's escaping me right now, but one is The War Before by Safia Bakari. So tune in Sundays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern time for those Black August study
7
sessions.
Central.
Yeah, that one too. I did want to say again when we talk about Angela Davis, though that long trajectory, like it's the Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker, you were the chosen one kind of thing, because she had some heat. I've talked to abolitionists, folks who have been incarcerated, who did read "Are Prisons Obsolete?" and that is one of their foundations. They say it transformed them, how they think about things, how they engage their politics. So again, in terms of a job of a leader is to build other leaders, as Ella Baker teaches us, or revolutionaries trying to create more revolutionaries. Angela Davis has done that, and we cannot take that away from her. Another one that I say, and I even talked to Dr. Sundiata about this. I'm like, this is just an amazing book, Women, Race, and Class. That shit is heat. Um, one of the best texts I've read, one of my foundations as a revolutionary. And my only point with him was like, how can we say she? Because he was like, she was supposed to be producing prolific scholarship, like all of those things. I'm like, well, what about this? And he's like, yes, that's an excellent book. We wanted her to make 5 more, essentially. And I that is the critique that I rock with, right? Because it's acknowledging this is it. Like, if you haven't read this, it needs to be study groups. It needs to be foundational to a lot of your organizing, to discussions about intersectionality, triple oppression, all the combos that we see having in struggle sessions. This book provides a lot of clarity for all of those. And my only wish, like Dr. Sundiata, is that Angela had produced 5 of these. And continue to produce more. And then the challenge that Angela has, that Bell Hooks has, that a lot of Black feminists has, is how do you turn feminism into mass movement? And I know Angela Davis provided some foundation for that within her struggle as a communist or in the Communist Party. But regardless, I think that struggle is still ongoing. How do we make feminism theory and praxis, mass movement based on the demands that Angela Davis outlines in this book? Paid housework, socialized childcare, all sorts of things that women, specifically Black working class women, got to struggle through. So I have one more thing that you dropped in the chat. Let me bring it up. And in the meantime, I'm going to go over some super chats. I think we got a few.
Yeah. Oh, the only one I wanted to go over was Dre. He said Big Amber, not the little one. Appreciate you, big dog. You know, let the people know.
Let me see if I can find those super chats.
It's on the side.
Okay, Murders Curtis, $9.99. Thank you for the donation. And then Latif, you already a member of the co-op, but you giving back to the pot that you contribute to. So we appreciate the $5 donation. Thank you very much. And anybody else, again, like, share, subscribe, follow us on Patreon. Always appreciate these super chats in the morning. We got one more story to cover. It's related to, the South, as I always say, but Miami. And this was a fun one because I'm very curious about this. I think I know where this is, by the way. I'm almost positive I've seen this building. But one of the most popular content creators on earth, which is wild to think about, iShowSpeed, has bought a new warehouse for content in Miami. So let's check this out.
I wonder why Miami.
An $11 million warehouse in Miami, and I had to pull up to see it. iShowSpeed just bought an $11 million warehouse in Miami, and I had to pull up to see it for myself. This 26,000 square foot all-black warehouse in Miami-Dade is set to become Speed's brand new headquarters. His plan is to convert the building into a massive content creation studio, giving him a dedicated space to film, stream, and create content. The property was previously owned by the CEO of Limited Spec Automotive, the luxury car dealership right next door, before Speed purchased it. Miami is quickly becoming a hotspot for creators, so don't be surprised if some of the biggest YouTube collabs start coming out of this place. Now, Speed, if this somehow finds you, let's make it happen. I'd love to hop on stream, hang out, and show you around South Florida. Our first stop has to be the Thousand Sunny in Miami, a One Piece inspired restaurant, since I know you're a huge One Piece fan. We can bust down some Luffy inspired meals, then I'll take you around Broward and show you some hidden gems the county have to offer. Congratulations on the new warehouse, bro. I can't wait to see what you build here.
That brother trying to get on the stream. You hear me? He said, put me in the game.
I'm sorry, I'm making coffee. Can you go back? Is that AI? Or is that a real person talking?
No, that was a real person talking.
Oh. Because it sounds like an AI produced thing.
You need to come back on camera because I have to go to a doctor's appointment. So you need to come back on camera.
I am trying to make some coffee, man. Chill out.
Desperate.
That sounds really bad. That sounds really bad. Like, do you know the dude from the Florida dude who on that video saying that Master Show Speed, could you please come do some content with me, and this is our opportunity. We gonna get famous.
Don't do my boy like that. Don't do him like that. Yes, I don't know.
He's growing up in the streamer content creator world. This is how all these kids be acting.
Yep. And yes, y'all, we were trying to work with the Echo. We're gonna get Amber some headphones for next stream. But this is new because it didn't used to be a thing, so we don't know why that happens. Amber, did you want to say anything before I spoke? Okay, word.
No, I was saying I have to go to a doctor's appointment, so that's why I was telling you should come back on camera.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, like the appointment's at 9.
We're almost done anyway, Amber. What you talking about? We got like 2 minutes.
How are you gonna get there on time? It's 2 minutes till 9
It's
o'clock.
actually around the corner from my house. Y'all are in my business.
Okay.
Well, you going late. That's just tell the truth. You're going late. Like, you're gonna be late. Just go ahead and tell the truth. And it's not our fault that you about to be late. How about that? She's gonna join
Amber's gotta go. All right, appreciate it.
Amber. You saw what she did. She joined mobile because Lorik is like what I call Killer Mike. He making his workers work, even though they got other shit.
Exactly.
No, Amber, don't exactly that.
So
The
so
Lord is like Killer Mike is a banned sentence on this platform. Don't
so
ever.
listen. So Lord want Killer Mike. I'm sorry, Lord Killer Mike. Lord, whatever your name is, want Amber to work even when she's off and she's about to still put in her labor as she drive and she got to stay on. Like I'm joking.
Amber didn't put in the sick request at the start, but also is working overtime because it is 10. So we are closing out. On this story,
He really be
first of all,
bullying me, you guys.
that's not true. This is so all right. We're gonna leak the chats.
My bad. My
So
bad. My bad.
I'm just kidding,
of
y'all. I'm really just
course,
joking.
of course.
I'm
That nobody
sorry.
knows. Nobody thinks I'm a bully. There's no way anyone believes that. Amber got to get to the appointment. Both my co-hosts now off camera, y'all. This is how they do me. So we're gonna start closing closing out. On this story, yes. Welcome to the ADHD stream. This is the Friday show. It's because these people are all on TikTok and listening to the streamers. We got no attention span no more. So welcome to the Lorik Show. Thank you,
That
Steve.
actually is part of it, I think.
Oh, it is. Oh, I know. I promise. It's definitely a part of it. But what was funny to me was when I saw the Speed story, to me, I saw Tyler Perry Studios. I don't know if anyone immediately got that
Ooh,
vibe, but
it's like the Gen Z version of it.
that's exactly the vibe I got immediately. It was like, oh, this is Tyler Perry Studios. Miami is a huge content creator hub now because again, where else are people going to pay $4,000 for a one bedroom apartment in the middle of downtown where you're staring at another person's apartment and there's no city services, right? So that's what the content creators are doing. They're not from Miami. They're not from South Florida in general. Even in that video, what was funny is he bought the lot at Miami-Dade, but that creator was saying, I'm going to take you over Broward, which is actually where I'm from in terms of where I was born and raised, but it's a county up. So, getting from Sawgrass to Miami-Dade is a pretty large area. But I've seen Speed in both places, and they are basically conjoined twins if you think about it. But all that to say, this is the era. It is still, to me, very similar to what we talked about earlier in this conversation around Black capitalists and like what is their role and how do they function and how does the exploitation quote unquote look. So Speed has $10 million. As someone said, is it just Speed or is it his sponsors, Twitch? I'm not sure. So I'm not sure where the seed money came from, who he's going on it with. But Speed himself does have a certain amount of money he's amassed from his role, right? And so he's going to use that capital as seed money to make more money, right? Which is capitalism. And he's specifically going to do that with this content house. So it'll be to up his own level of production, I'm sure. So he can do the skits, so he can do all his crazy stunts where he sees how many balloons does it take to lift him off the ground, or can I backflip over a Ferrari, right? These types of things are his content. But he's also going to create space for what we already saw with that young brother, other content creators to come in. And if they get successful, this is how things tend to work. Speed's gonna get a piece. Either Speed's gonna get a piece because they're paying rent to use the content studio. Speed's gonna get a piece because he's gonna say you're using my brand or something like that.
I
But
should say
this
they do
is
all of those. They pay rent and they get a percentage. They make you sign a death row contract for that shit.
that's capitalism. So that's what I was talking about with the black capitalism. That's what that is. No, it is not a co-op. Jigan, that's funny. It is not a co-op. It is the opposite of co-op, right? So one person, one celebrity with all the capital and then access to white capital, right? Someone who's beloved by Twitch because he's their cash cow right now, is going to use that to make more money. And he is not the first one to do this. This is very common with NBA players that we're talking about, with pro athletes when they go and they start a restaurant or they partner up with other white capital ventures and try and make more money. So why is he allowed to do that? I think someone already pointed out there's certain tax codes in Miami that are a part of it. Like I said, downtown Miami has basically become a wasteland for tourists and content creators to do this. So if you go to certain areas, if you go to Brickell, which is the shopping district, if you go downtown, if you go to Miami Beach, you will see somebody with a phone and a mic and they doing random shit. And they're asking you questions about, is it okay if your man 50-50 dates? Or would you like somebody who's your height or whatever? That type of thing. And they're doing that. And they're
I'm so
doing
tired of that
trends.
50-50 dating question because what's the reason?
So there's I'm telling you, to this again, talking about political economy, go to Mary Brickell Village on Friday night and you will see about 5 niggas doing that with a camera and a microphone and asking young ladies as they walk by all sorts of random questions and stuff, staging videos, staging pranks, all of that. So that's what it means by being a content city. And rather than having to do that, rather than having to go out into the street and harass random people and deal with the police bothering you and pay for parking and all that, Speed's like, nah, I'm gonna just make my own content studio. And y'all can come here and do that kind of thing. Y'all can come to the
Because he
Speed
wants to be in
Content
control.
Studio. Of course. I mean, and he just sees it as something that makes sense for his business to grow. And now y'all can, instead of doing the random street things, come to the Speed Content Studio and shoot a pop the balloon. You know what I mean? And just do it like that. And he has peers, which is the other.
So what's different than Jay Morrison's Black House that he sold to Aristotle, the investor in Atlanta, and that CMB almost did well, not almost, but we went to go look at the space for one of the conferences. So it's kind of the same thing. But
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting how you.
Yo, I gotta go. I'm at the doctor. I told you it really was that close, but I just want to say great show, and I just want to add the only thing I don't like about the I Show Speed thing is that he gives people hope of the idea that they could also be big streamers too, and that's not realistic. Just like when people tell me like, "Oh, I like that you make content. I want to do the same thing." I'm honest with them in that I have a niche thing. The people are coming because they like my content. You can't replicate that. Just like the Streamer University shit. I don't agree with the content of that Streamer University shit because they're not gonna become these $1 million streamers, and they're lying to them to make them think they can. And I don't like that.
Hey,
Agreed.
you got a Black doctor, a woman?
Nope, it's a white man named Patrick.
Oh, tell Patrick to fuck. He fuck up something. We coming to fuck him up.
Last time I came, I was grumpy because I was on my period, and he was like, "Oh, I understand. You don't have to be in a good mood for me." I said, "I'm never in a good mood for white men." And he said, "Damn."
Dude, tell Patrick don't get his ass tear up over there now. Just tell Patrick that. All right, you take care of yourself.
Patrick, do your job regardless. Peace, yeah.
So I like what you did there. I wonder what you think. So obviously, Kasim Reed, a mayor, kind of like Arthur's after Killer Mike's own heart, helped Tyler Perry acquire land. And that land is in Southwest Atlanta. And it is making it really uncomfortable for Black people who live in that area. And they have a mock White House there. And the White House is the only building like the White House in the U.S. other than Tyler Perry's mock White House. And in order for the people to protect the White House, they have to train and learn maneuvers. Well, you can't train at the fucking White House, so you need a new training facility. And Tyler Perry is getting paid while the CIA and the FBI train at that same White House he got down there, the mock White House. And Tyler Perry is essentially a content curator, right? Same way as these young cats.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is I Show Speed, with all of the money that he convinced that Amber just talked about, he's able to purchase that building without the help of the city. And so I'm curious when you look at those two, because there's a lot of I know a lot of filmmakers too, right? And I know a lot of people who will put their shit on Tubi and they, so I wonder how you see I Show Speed and Tyler Perry and Kai Cenat, because he's in Atlanta, and Drewski.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now apart from Killer Mike, I know we talk like, how do you see them? And then
No, I think you were already saying that's their trajectory though. Like they're just younger. They're younger. The way they do the capitalism is this smooth market private side, right? They're not at the level yet where they've thought too deeply about how they have to interact with the state. And this is just my assessment. So once these black bourgeois, black capitalist folk start understanding the nature of power and how they have to stay long term and how they can actually continue to grow their business, they start understanding the need for the state, which is why the Jared discussion all the time. We just got to get our economics right, blah, blah, blah. We don't got to worry about the politics. And Jared always said, no, the politics is the core of how you actually build the power. You need the state to secure the interests of the capitalist class. But there's so much wealth in this, era of capitalism that, yeah, if you were to just get a small, they turn a little faucet on and you were to get a lot of money in that, you might think, oh, well, I could just focus on that kind of thing. But then when you actually start to challenge, when you actually get to a certain point, all right, that faucet isn't enough for me. I'm tired of the trickle. I want to go to the source. Well, now you have to say, well, the city doesn't want me to move here, or this real estate developer is actually trying to take over my place, and they've got a VC firm and they got BlackRock and all that. And now I realize I am small. And so I think at this point, speed makes so much money. Content is such a quick turnaround, that kind of thing, that with just that, with the ads that he's bringing in and the Red Bull and all the people who work with him, he could just get a spot and he could just pay for it with the 20 mil and all of that. Tyler Perry is talking about making an entire compound, right? And he's trying to gain political power. And so Tyler Perry's going to be talking to politicians. He's going to be talking to the city. He's going to be talking to the police who are going to have to protect his premises and all of that. I think the moment that Speed starts recognizing these kinds of things, oh, someone's breaking into my content studio and trying to steal cameras. Well, now he's going to be talking to Miami-Dade police and trying to build that relationship. And so I think all of those things start moving someone from a like, I can just throw as much money, I'm making so much and build a content house versus I need to build an institution. I need the New York Times to cover my studio like Tyler Perry and write a whole puff piece about how amazing this is going to be for Atlanta's Black community. As far as I understand, Speed is not trying to connect to Miami's Black community that way. That's not his interest. He'll do stuff, but he's Mr. Worldwide or whatever. He's gonna go do a tour in the Caribbean or something.
So I thought I thought the conscious community adopted him because of how he was into
In Africa.
huh?
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like Speed is not trying to build at this point yet, right? That kind of deeper control connection over the Black community in that way. I don't even think he sees himself in that light. He's trying to say, okay, I could do this content studio. This is just a place for my business. And I'll go around the world and I'll do a Caribbean tour next or a South America tour or something like that. So that's my point. But eventually the contradictions come and you're like, all right, either this space isn't enough and I got to move, or I got to find a way to make more money in it. And to Amber's point, it's a rat race because if they have 100 people, they know 90 of them are not going to be big content creators. But the 10 that are going to be the ones that they jump onto, that they platform, and that they reproduce themselves with. So you mentioned Drewski and Kai Cenat, right? Looking at the generation before, the Tyler Perry generation we're talking about, right? Drewski and Kai Cenat are being mentored by none other than Kevin Hart. And so Kevin Hart did his law network and brought them in and started making capital with them and teaching them how to move and all of those things. So I just like to point out that, yeah, bro, the law network.
Wait, slow down. You said now when you say mentored, I think Kevin engagement was an opportunistic move that was very similar to, because remember now, Kevin and Nard had a conversation during the pandemic, private. Well, they talked about it private, but they talked about it publicly. Well, they were afraid, and they was trying to figure out what the fuck to do and how to try to keep making money. And then they pitched something to Audible, and Audible signed them on a big contract. So now you get to hear Kevin's voice and Nard's voice reading the book. So now you get so like them niggas was running around trying to find money and making sure that they can keep the money stream coming, and they took advantage of them cats because it was popping and they saw a way for them to make money.
Yeah.
And it seemed like instead of Kevin mentoring them, Kai and them taught them niggas how to get money in this space. That's why you got Killer Mike podcast and all this other shit. But like, so I don't.
No, I think it's what Steven says though.
Yeah.
Well, that's just. I think it's what Steven says. That's what mentoring looks like in capitalism. So, gotcha. Yeah, it's an exploitative. I completely agree. It's an exploitative thing. But I even saw some of the folks who I used to watch, which before like an RDC world was allowed to take off. Sometimes it's just the era and the way that capital is accumulated, where some people are trying something too early, and then there's a market for it, and you can actually make a living for it when it develops a little later. So there's a group of folks. Many have seen their content called RDC World. It's a group of brothers, mostly Black, one brown brother, and they make content and they do this kind of thing, and they're big on anime, and now they do cons. So Dream Con is something that most people have seen, and that's how they've grown. So they make their content, but then it becomes more high quality. Then they need a house. So they move into a house together. Then they need to say, well, how do we bring all of our fan base together in a way that attracts capital? Let's do a convention. And now the DreamCon is huge. It makes a lot of money. Okay. It makes a lot of money and it's got a lot of sponsorship. So now Amazon's involved, Crunchyroll, all of them. And so that's how they've grown. Before them, though, and folks from our millennial generation might know, there were folks called Dormtainment. And they did something very similar. And they came out of Atlanta and they were some brothers that were very funny. They moved together and they made a content house. They had all the talent. One person was behind the camera, just like Artist C has their brother Af behind the camera, all that. But
real world.
They weren't able to grow in that way. And what's funny is when you look at the Law Network, oh, and they're actually in the first episode of Insecure, if anyone's seen that, because they are part of that generation of like Issa Rae. So she like was their peers and respects them in that way. But they weren't able to become big stars the way that Mark and them were, because the streaming, all of that wasn't as big as it is now. But when Kevin Hart started the Law Network and started his little incubator, like I said, with Kai Cenat and Drewski eventually coming in, Dormtainment were a part of that team. So they were writing stuff for him. They were helping with the segments he does, the cold as balls thing, where he gets into the ice tub and interviews athletes and celebs, that kind of thing. They became part of his labor force in that way. And so that is the model that Kevin has that he learned from other people. The show Silicon Valley is a joke about this, where tech bros are basically doing this. They all live in a house and give their shit to somebody in an incubator. And after that, now Drewski's doing it with Could Have Been and with reality TV and Revolt and all that. Kai Cenat's doing that with Streamer University. So I just see this as the business model. Yes, this is the Dormtainment that when you run in a different direction, yeah, these brothers. Yes. And so that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is a business model that's evolved over time. It's been about like 20 years in the making, from Vine and Facebook and seeing those people's career trajectories to now, where you can stream, where Red Bull will sponsor you to do all sorts of random things. Just a new era we're in. But it's a modern version of that old incubator that we're talking about, which is not a co-op. Right. It is the opposite of a co-op. It is just a capitalist enterprise where they're letting you race to the bottom, really.
Wait, is Dormtainment the what do you call them people? The passport bros?
I don't think so.
Oh, I just saw a triple time.
I remember them. So, and we can start closing here. I remember what all this is to me is in this era of capitalism, they found ways to monetize everything, monetize social experiences. We know that was what we were dealing with. We're dealing with the predictive markets and betting, where you can bet on anything. The joke y'all said on EYL, we'll bet how many times Diallo is going to interrupt Geechee, like on a show. Like that is actually something that exists now. You can make all of these bets and things like that. They've commodified every part of your experience. So what I saw with Dormtainment early on was folks doing what friend groups do, specifically Black friend groups. We could talk about that because there's a reason Kai Cenat and Speed are selected in RDC. I think there's a certain thing about how Black children play Black Joy and all of that. But this is shit friends do all the time. Like I did this played outside with my friends. When I see it, the appeal is like, oh, they're doing some stuff I did. And now when they get all the money, they're doing stuff I would have done if I had all of that money. But ultimately, like I'm not looking to them for a friend group. I'm not in that parasocial thing. I'm like, this is just my friend group. We already do this kind of stuff, but it's cool to see some people streaming it. But I think a lot of people are. So the first content I saw from Dormtainment was a silly game where they were pretending that they were hitting a penny back and forth, right? Like anime style, like through subways and all of that. And really what they're doing is they're flicking the back of the fan that they're using and making it sound like they're hitting the penny, and then they drop the penny on the ground. And it's hilarious. And people like they're running through the campus and they're smacking it back and forth, and people are like dodging and they're like, what's going on? Oh my God. And then they drop the penny, like, were y'all really hitting that penny back? Something silly like that, bro. And it went viral. And it's hilarious and it's fun. Now, if a bunch of folks, if Better Health now wants to sponsor that or something like that, now you start seeing the capitalist sort of development of just good, friendly fun back and forth. And that's what I see all of this streaming as. Okay, Speed is doing some stuff that you wanted to do. Oh, have you ever raced somebody? Fucking racing is even becoming a thing that they have a long trend for. And Ashton Hall is sending out challenges, and they set this up weeks in advance. And where they ran is right by, like, 5 minutes away from where I grew up. If you see that famous race between Speed and Ashton Hall now, it's right by me. But all it is niggas racing in the neighborhood. Like, that is that radical? Is that something that deserves tens of thousands of dollars worth of advertisements and revenue and all of that? I don't think so. But, you know, what other economy is there right now in the U.S.? Oh.
The Negro economy, world of
Yeah.
make believe.
The world of make believe. Honestly, but I mean, like I'm saying, I do think when we have social isolation, destruction of third spaces, all the buzzwords I'm about to say about the male loneliness epidemic and all of that, but it's basically saying that capitalism is destroying our social fabric, which it's done the entire time. Then this is what's going to happen. So, folks who might not even have been allowed outside because this country has a pandemic and decides to kill 1 million people instead of shutting down for a few weeks, right? They probably are seeing this from inside the house and being like, wow, this is something I want. Dubs in the chat, that kind of thing. So I'm not trying to insult anybody. I actually have empathy for it. I'm not trying to stop, Black excellence. But I am just saying this is just commodifying social interactions between friends. So sucks, is what it is. So I'm leaving off today. Geechee, what you got going on for the people? What you want to share? Anything you want to promote? That Black
Yep.
Liberation Media merch looks nice, brother.
Thanks, man.
This-
You know, I got it from some people I know. They be doing some dope ass work. You know, they work so dope that I'm gonna cover them in my class. The last class of the history of Black political thought at Morehouse. It traced Black political thought from 1860 to 20 right now, and the last class, hopefully we can get some folks from Black Liberation Media, yourself, Renee, definitely Lawrence and Davon, them from Leads of a Beautiful Struggle, people who can talk about the project and then their work. So I'm finishing the syllabus and everything is finished. We're talking about some of the plans, and I'm just like preparing for classes because class is starting next week or the week after next. But I'm in Baltimore finishing up my program, the writing intensive. And yesterday I got to hear. So the students are working on the biographical historical narratives of their family members, so or somebody's important in their space. And yesterday they read their first draft, and I haven't really been like following their draft. The writing coaches and the stylistic coaches, I guess they were called the people. It's like a poet. It's a poet and a writing coach and another person who does some other things around poetry. They helping them write it, and I haven't really been reading their work. But yesterday I read it, and I was like, "Oh, these motherfuckers are good. These motherfuckers, boy, So I'm excited about that. We have another workshop. We're closing out the summer here, and then I'll be going back down in Atlanta. Yeah, that's all I got going on. What you got going?
That's beautiful, man. Nothing to give you inspiration for the revolution like the youth. Like, truly. Like, they pick up so fast too.
Man.
What we got going on? Well, I want to say I think this got approved, so I am free to show it. Let me make sure though. But we have an Asada reading group. It's not a study group like usual, if you know Black Men Build and how we try to do PE, but it is just a space to read, to sit and to come together. So what we're going to be doing in the month of October is reading Asada. I'm going to share the screen so folks can see real quick. We have an Asada book club. It's going to be at Roots Bookstore and Market in Liberty City, and it's going to be every Saturday. The time is off. It's going to be in noon, so starting at noon, not 11 a.m. But if you come at 11, then we do children's readings. So read children's books to the kids. So bring your family. There's matcha. There's a Haitian man barbecuing. It's great vibes, truly, if you just go to Roots Bookstore. But we will be coming together to just sit and read Asada every single Saturday. Just shout that out. Shout out MXGM, Black Alliance for Peace. Check out their Black August study guides, manuals. Stay up to date on what they got going on. Like I said, Sundays with Tanny, we're reading The War Before, and another book that I need to get caught up on because clearly I don't remember off top. And that's it. Other than that, I'm trying to stay disciplined in Black August, study, fast, train, fight, all the things. I just showed my signal, not the move. Thank you, Geechee, for removing that. And that's all I got going. So
Hey, every time you talk about Liberty City, I all of us have like thousands of lives. I'm reminded of my life 5 or 6 years ago for a span of 7 years in Baltimore when I'm here catching up with everybody. But every time you say Liberty City, like I remember when I played college football in multiple different teams, there's a bunch of cats who be coming from different parts of the world. And I remember my homeboy, his name was Desire Eves. And I was fascinated by his name, Desire. His name was Desire Eves. And he was from Liberty City. And he always talked about Liberty City. It was, so.
I lied. There is one more thing I wanted us to discuss in the spirit of Black August, which is supporting specifically our prisoners of war. So I don't want to conflate things. But we did cover on this platform a specific case, and that is the case of Chris Payne, who is currently wrongfully incarcerated in Japan. It looks like some Japanese influencers have picked up that story, and it's been gaining some steam. I've seen his mom do some local interviews. So just want to keep centering that. He's actually starting to get a lot of letters, so he's requested that you do not send him letters anymore if you have not already started writing him letters. Sorry what I missed from Vinci. Everybody from Florida, all the Black people, you're not wrong. We started further south and moved our way up.
I want to start an argument down there. I want to see, because y'all niggas y'all be territorial in them little areas down there.
They really do. And that's what I'm saying. There are people who be like, you can't claim Miami because I'm from Broward. So even that whole, listen, but that's a whole nother conversation. I wanted to raise this, justice for Chris Payne. We got an update. So he's dealing with health issues. They're going to retry his case. So it was not dismissed and the date hasn't been set for retrial. This is the brother who we've covered on the platform, Chris Payne, wrongfully incarcerated with false DNA evidence by Japan's criminal legal system, placed in solitary confinement under horrible conditions for a crime he didn't commit. And so right now, he was originally asking for letters. Again, you can promote the campaign if you're in Japan, try and connect with Justice for Chris Payne and maybe show support. But he's asking for some books. And so he's got an Amazon wish list. You can see here, go to Justice for Chris Payne, Justice number 4 Chris Payne. If you want to go on the social page, or you can scan the QR code you see here. And let's buy Chris some books. Chris was also drawing again, so we want to make sure we keep his mental health where it needs to be so he can survive what they're putting him through. So you can go on his Amazon marketplace, buy him some books. And thankfully, like we said, the campaign is starting to seem like get a little more attention recently. So in the past, we asked people to write, but he's received over 600 letters following recent news coverage of his case. And the support is appreciated and overwhelming. So he wants to save his energy from people he already knows. So if you're not already talking to him, don't send him letters, buy him some books. We support him. We also want to support our brothers behind the walls, our sisters, our people behind the walls. So for this Black August, tap into things like this, tap into the Jericho movement, and free them all. But that's the last thing I had for today. The really, really last thing. Thanks for sticking with us, y'all. Geechee, Lorik, Amber getting her health checked on. As Jared says, as Fred Hampton used to say, as Killer Mike does not say, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, and we'll catch you next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member. and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.